Hello, good evening, and welcome to a special World Cup Taco Tuesday edition of the CantinaMX podcast. It has been bananas over the past 10, 15 minutes with goals all over the world. Just to get you guys up to date with what's going on. Right now, U.S. is losing to Trinidad and Tobago 2-1. But even despite the losing, they are at this point still qualified for the World Cup. But in the other CONCACAF games, Honduras is up. I'm sorry, they're tied 2-2 with Mexico, and Panama had just equalized against Costa Rica. So they are up. It is 1-1 there. And then in CONMEBOL, it looks like Argentina and Uruguay are going to qualify directly. And at this point, I don't think I can say that much more about what's going on in that in the other games. I think, as it stands right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think that Colombia and Chile are still in. For now.
No, Chile is out.
Chile's out.
Chile's out. Peru's in.
Peru's in the repechaje. Chile's out.
Yeah, Chile's out.
So that goal by Peru was massive then, was absolutely huge for them. So, okay, so thank you. That's Rigoberto El Raton Ayala giving us the up-to-the-minute CONMEBOL standings. Are you watching the CONMEBOL right now?
Yeah, I'm watching CONMEBOL. I'm watching Argentina, Ecuador. But they got... They'll go into all 5 games at once, every once in a while. And
Argentina's strategy of giving the ball to Messi finally paid off. He scored a hat trick for Argentina tonight after going down 1-0. Here comes Honduras. Let's see if they can get the winner. And they scored. Honduras has scored.
Honduras.
There it is.
Honduras.
Oh,
yeah. Póngale.
3-2.
Honduras has scored, and that sends the U.S. to the repechaje. For now.
No, that sends USA out.
No, it does not, because Panama
isn't Panama tied?
Panama's tied, but Panama only had 10 points. The U.S. has 12.
Oh, okay. So Panama has to win.
The Panama has to win. How can you leave a guy that open?
What? Both goals have been wide open. No, Analiza el 23.
These alternative tactics might pay off, though. Do you guys think these alternative tactics, 9 cambios, might pay off for the World Cup?
No, absolutely not.
So there you have it. Honduras is at least in zona repechaje for now. If the results hold, and whatever happens with the U.S. game, Panama right now, as a result, if the results hold, or at least for the very least, are in zona repechaje. If Panama gets another goal, then that puts them into 3rd place. Honduras goes to repechaje, and the U.S. gets knocked out. So if Panama scores another goal, then they're probably. As it stands right now, Honduras has qualified. They're a direct qualification, and the U.S. right now is sitting in the playoff spot, and they will play Australia, who came within a whisper of being knocked out by Syria. I don't know if anybody got to watch that game early this morning. I tuned in just in time to see Syria score on a free kick off the post in like the 121st minute, which would have put them into the playoff against CONCACAF. Anyway, let's introduce our panel because we have a bunch of guys on. We have, you already have heard from Rigoberto Raton Ayala. Good to have you with us.
Nice to be back, guys.
And we also have with us in California, we have Joel Aceves. Joel, how are you?
Joel, John, enjoying this madness.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? This is
it's the most fun I've had watching soccer in a long time.
Yeah, and CONCACAF soccer to boot. It's usually doesn't get this hectic for CONCACAF, but it is certainly been crazy. Over in Kyle, Texas, we have Albert Beto Chiquiscampa. How are you, sir?
Hey, what's up? I'm streaming this to Facebook Live also.
We're on Facebook Live?
Yeah, just the audio. I can put some pictures and stuff as time goes on, or as I think of something, but...
All right. Okay. Well, and then over in California, just joining us is Daniel Preciado in Escondido, California. Daniel, how are you?
Pretty good, John. Evening, guys.
And Brazil has gone up.
We're watching.
Yeah, Brazil has gone up 3-0 over Chile. So I think that would eliminate Chile completely. So that eliminates Brazil completely, or not Brazil, Chile completely from the World Cup. So they're done. They're toast.
Does it really?
They need Colombia to win for them to be in repechaje. So if Colombia wins the game, which they need to score 3 goals, then they would be in. That's Chile would be in.
So as it stands right now, who's getting eliminated?
Chile, Paraguay are eliminated right now. From Colombia.
And right now in CONCACAF, Panama is being eliminated, provided they don't score. So they have 27 minutes, 25 minutes or so, for Panama to win, for the U.S. to get an equalizer, and for Honduras to hang on against Mexico. So it is.
U.S. is 2-1 right now.
Yes.
They're losing 2-1.
And Argentina. Oh, I thought they were just going to score again, but they did not. But it looks like Argentina are through, and Uruguay are through, and then Colombia is through, and then Peru goes to repechaje. Is that correct? Craziness.
Yeah, Peru goes to repechaje and Colombia's in. No, I'm sorry. Colombia goes to repechaje.
Colombia goes, so Peru goes direct.
Peru goes direct with the victory. Yeah.
Oh, with the victory, but they're just tied right now.
No, they're winning.
Peru's winning?
It's 2-1.
When did Peru start winning?
While we were starting up.
Holy smokes!
Oh, smack! That's.
I'm sorry. I apologize. It's
man.
I'm sorry.
I almost hit all 3 on my results.
Correction and retraction.
That's fake news. I apologize.
Alternative facts.
Okay. All right. So a crazy. Like I said, it started with so Australia's in the playoff. They got things going early, and then there really wasn't that much drama in Europe today. There was no major shakeups.
I can't believe this, man. Argentina is celebrating like they won the World Cup out here.
Hey, well, they almost missed it, so.
No, that's lame.
Well, see, now they have no pressure. See, that's what folks. I mean, we talked about this when we had lunch a few years ago, Chiquis, when Mexico barely qualified for the World Cup. And now they have no pressure now. They're in the tournament. That is.
Yeah, but when Chicharito, the U.S. scored that goal and Chicharito heard about it or whatever, he was celebrating on the bench for barely qualifying for the World Cup, and that's the same thing as. And I was criticizing them.
In all fairness, the South American World Cup qualifying is way more difficult than.
But also, it's a big deal for them. It's a really big deal for them. So even just qualifying, I mean, even though it's Argentina and they're World Cup champions, it's still a big deal for them to go. I mean, as you want them to not celebrate, you know. I think even if they were to have qualified 2 match days or 3 in advance, they would still celebrate.
I ain't with that, man. It should be Argentina and Brazil, top 2.
Yeah, so and indeed, and so nothing major. And the only, I guess, the big news that happened in Europe is that France looks like they're going to jump Spain to go into pot 1.
Hey, Perucho's going crazy now. Game just ended, John.
So Peru's in and Colombia's in. Wow. Chile is out.
So Chile 2-time Copa America champions.
Semifinalist in CONCACAF.
So Holland is out and Chile is out.
Everybody that's gave Mexico grief the last couple of years.
But I don't believe in karma, so.
That just means that we're going to face the U.S. and lose again.
No, we're going to face Argentina, who we're going to face watch.
That would be. I had that same thought, but I thought the opposite. I thought that finally Mexico would eliminate the U.S.
If the world is just, then that's what would happen. But
no, you know what? If we meet again, I feel, even with Osorio, I feel we will have the advantage.
So Peru, by virtue of a 2-goal difference over Chile, because Chile got rocked by Brazil. Had Chile just lost to Brazil 1-0, then it would be Chile that was in the repechaje instead of Peru.
Yeah,
so Brazil won 3-0 over Chile, and that is the reason why Chile is not qualifying for at least the repechaje, because they lost 3-0.
Brazils are my favorites, John. Right, as of now, going into the World Cup, they're my favorites to take it.
Brazil, your favorites?
Yes, sir. As of now, things could change. You know, you could have internal stuff or lesiones, but if the World Cup were to start tomorrow, Brazil. My money is on the
really
on Brazil.
Spain.
More so than Germany, who
Yes.
played 10 games in their qualifying and won all 10.
Their legs are going to tremble. Their legs are going to tremble when they go against Germany, man.
Mine is on
No, they're
Spain.
not, dude.
They're going to have flashbacks of previous disaster.
It's a whole different group, man. They got rid of They sent all those other dudes to China.
They better hope.
I think that's a pretty good prediction, Joel. I also think Brazil is definitely.
Well, you're really going out on a limb there, Joel, picking Brazil to win the World Cup. I mean,
hey, man.
Well, no,
so far, I've been
things...
pretty spot on in the majority of my predictions.
I just say that it is pretty fair to say, though, that considering how well they've done in qualifying. I mean, that's not an easy feat what they did, and what they did today against Chile is that's like a statement game and saying, you know what, we didn't even have to do it. We didn't have to show up today.
Yeah.
And we still decided to put our foot on this guy's throats.
They're like, we're not even playing in our final form.
And they qualified back in June. I mean, it's been a while since they've been qualified.
Yeah, I think the number of games they haven't lost, it's like at 30 or something, if I'm not mistaken.
¿Fue su gol?
Brazil, like, since Tite took over, I think they haven't lost.
They've done really well. They certainly have done extremely well, and they're doing it with. Do you know off the top of your head, Joel, are they using the local guys, or are they doing using like the best players available?
I haven't been able to see the games, but I know this new coach came in and he shook things up and got rid of some of the dead weight.
Got them playing like Brazil again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have Paulinho, who was playing in China, and then Barcelona brought him back. And they have Neymar and a couple others that were still there.
Wow. And then I guess were there any other big news that happened? I mean, Europe was kind of a bore. I mean, no. I mean, I guess Iceland. Iceland is a good story. I mean,
Iceland eliminated Wales.
Well, yeah, Wales couldn't have had the worst time for Gareth Bale to get hurt, unfortunately for them. And that was the unfortunate thing for Wales, is that they lost their best player when they absolutely had to have him. And I did get to watch a little of that I don't know why, but I watched the Ireland-Wales game, which was like watching a 4th division England game. I mean, it was bad. It was puro pelotazo, just not the most attractive soccer, to say the least. But Ireland are through, Northern Ireland are through into the playoff, as well as Croatia and Italy and Switzerland, by virtue of their loss to Portugal today.
So I just want to add a bit more to Brazil.
Yes, please.
So basically, since Tite took over, I think it's been all wins in World Cup qualifying, but they also won the Olympics.
They did. It was the first time they had ever won the Olympics. It was the first time they had ever won the Olympics.
Yeah.
They'd been denied the gold medal. They'd lost the gold medal match like 3 or 4 times. And that was in Brazil. So that was a very big deal for them to at least redeem themselves from their own siete pipinos that they had to deal with at the hands of the Germans.
Look, I'm going to read some of the results from since October. 5-0 over Bolivia, 2-0 over Venezuela away, 3-0 at home against Argentina, 2-0 away over Peru, and then they beat Colombia 1-0. They beat Uruguay in Montevideo 4-1. They beat Paraguay 3-0. Oh, then they did lose to Argentina in June. So there's that one defeat. In June 9th, they lost 1-0.
Panama just had a really good chance to score, and the goalie made a good save.
But you know what? This was an amistoso in Melbourne, Australia. So I'm not going to count it, John.
No lo vas a contar, Joel.
No, because I'm just going with the official games. Qualifying.
Well, I mean, they have, 41 points out of a possible 54.
Yeah, so since Tite took over, they haven't lost in qualifying. Barriero.
And when he took over, they were like in 6th or 7th place. I mean, they had a rough start to qualifying.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. They had a rough start to that. All right, so back to Europe, because I know everyone really wants to know what's going on over there in Europe. Let's see. So in the I guess the ones that are going to have the home leg, the second leg at home, it's going to be Italy, Switzerland, Croatia, Denmark, and then the other teams are Ireland, Northern Ireland, Sweden, and Greece. So out of those 8 teams, you probably expect Italy to qualify. I probably would expect Croatia to qualify. Probably Denmark and or Switzerland and Sweden. I think everybody else is gonna. I guess it depends on the matchup, but it's definitely going to be those are going to be the more interesting matches that we will have in November. And Mexico will actually be in Europe in November. They'll be playing, I believe, Belgium and Poland rather, and both of those teams are going to be cabezas de serie as of now. And let me just verify that. Right now we have. Let's see. Poland is Poland is no longer a cabeza. Yeah, they're number 6, and Belgium's number 5. So both of those, how Poland is a cabeza de serie, it's ridiculous. I don't really quite understand how that could be, but they did it by not playing friendlies. Is basically
these Hondureños are really hamming it up today.
Well, of course they are. Yeah, well, they're up 3-2. You know, at this point, the U.S. has 15 minutes to salvage a point, or at least not give up a goal. So yeah, the Hondureños are going to they're going to milk every last possible. And this all this does, it just makes things worse for themselves, because it's just adding the stoppage time, so that they do themselves no favors by going to these ridiculous lengths to pretend like they're injured. Because all that's going to happen is they're just going to add 6 minutes of stoppage time at the end.
Honduras is beating Mexico 3-2.
They are. Yeah, so craziness in CONCACAF.
If Panama scores,
the U.S. is out.
It's really making though for some good conspiracy theories, right?
Cards too.
There is no question, but I mean, I don't see how. I mean, I don't know.
You think Mexico's like taking a fall for trying to eliminate USA?
Wow. U.S. just hit the post. U.S. just hit the post. That's craziness.
Yeah, we need this. The Panama game isn't on any channel, is it? That's the game.
Right now, Telemundo has gone 3 box, so they've got all the games on right now.
On Universal.
Yeah, you need to put it on. You need to put it, but of course, in Austin, Telemundo's not on HD, so it's like 3 blobs, 3 blobs of people right now.
That's just the quality of the stadiums in Central America.
No, it's my picture. It's the fact that we're not on an HD. At least Telemundo had the good sense to do the thing so that when you stretch it, but now they've gone back full to Mexico. And Honduras is looking like are they gonna do it? Oh, Honduras came very close to getting a 4th. Very close to getting the 4th.
That sort of stinks because Mexico is going undefeated in this whole hex. And that would have been nice to sort of.
Well, they still can. I mean, and honestly, I'm fully expecting Mexico to tie, the U.S. to tie, and Panama to get to get the winner and send Honduras home.
Can a loss affect the rankings enough to put them in a third pool of teams?
I don't think so, because the fact that Chile is out and Wales is out, that helps Mexico. That helps Mexico tremendously. So, and according to some of the guys over the weekend, because of some of the other results, Mexico is virtually assured of being in bombolos, regardless of what happens tonight, win or lose.
Yeah, if Mexico. Well, Mexico is losing, so they're still in first. They won't. They're staying there regardless.
Yeah, but it's not the CONCACAF. It's the FIFA rankings that matter.
Oh, okay, for the point. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, but the thing is that 2 teams ahead of them, Chile and Wales, and I think Wales was ahead of them last I checked. They both are out, so that means that Mexico is essentially ranked 12th.
So Chile, they went LigaMX. So I think that was our vengeance, right? We hired all their players. We brought them to LigaMX, lowered their quality, and
right. So Mexico has dropped to 16, but again, Wales and Chile are out. So that essentially means Mexico is 14. So that by one number, by 1 point, Mexico is still alive in the in those rankings. And there's no guarantee that Switzerland is going to qualify either. So, but everyone else: Germany, Brazil, Portugal, Argentina, Belgium, Poland, France, Spain, and Peru probably qualify. But Switzerland, England, and Colombia. So, yeah. So Mexico right now is sitting in 16, but because the two teams ahead of them are out, then Mexico is essentially sitting in 14. So Mexico right now is safe. The ones that are in major problems are the U.S. They've fallen down to 27, and that puts them
end up in a difficult
that
group.
puts them in Bombo Cuatro. So they're going to be an extremely difficult group for the U.S. if the results hold.
Grupo de la muerte.
Yep. If the results hold. So we'll see how that. So obviously, it would be much better for Mexico to get the equalizer here and break Honduran hearts. But
I was thinking, if the results hold, really you want to keep the all sharp objects away from Panamanians.
Honduras looks like they're going for fourth.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. That's your drunk uncle?
No, I'm watching with my dad.
Oh, okay. No worries. So with Wales losing and then and Chile being out, that puts Mexico essentially in slot 14. So that means that they're safe by 1 for this. And I don't think goal differential. So even if they lose 4-2, 5-2, it doesn't really matter. Oh my God! There's another dead Honduran. So
the U.S. team doesn't seem to have a good sense of urgency at all for this game. I don't know what their problem is.
They were a bit unlucky. I don't know if you saw the goals scored against them out.
Yeah, but they're not even putting effort. It seems like in pushing forward, or Pulisic wasn't even very active in the first half at all.
Well,
there you go. There might be something. I don't know. You guys are watching Mexico. I'm watching the U.S.
I'm kind of hoping that I'm really hopeful that Mexico ties this, just to make sure that Honduras gets eliminated.
Yeah, Honduras eliminated.
I hate the way they're playing. I hate this.
Yeah, it really does make the region look bad when teams go to such lengths to. Although right now it looks like, man, if Raúl Jimenez gets hurt again in Honduras like he did the last time, it's like, poor guy. I mean, he just can't catch a break. And right now it looks like he's it's looking like he's injured. So hopefully we'll see who comes in for him if he indeed is hurt. So what's going to happen here in the last 10 minutes? Joel, you've been spot on this whole time. Who's in, who's out?
No, I mean, I had, from the predictions we made, I had Argentina winning, beating Ecuador.
No, I'm talking. That's total. I'm talking about CONCACAF. These next 10 minutes. Who's in, who's out?
Oh man, who gets eliminated?
Yep.
Man, it's tough. It's tough just because anything could happen. It's a little bit, Panama's just 1 goal away. It's all by 1 goal right now, John.
I know. That's why I'm asking. I'm asking for Joel, the clairvoyant.
The crystal ball is crystal ball is está nublada, man. I can't see anything.
If Panama can score a goal real quick, that'll give the U.S. at least time to know about it and try to do something in 6 or 7, 8 months.
But also not being able to see the full match makes it even more difficult. Although right now they are showing all three, but
I'm on 3 screens in standard definition. I can't tell you how great the quality is. Can't begin to say.
Rigo, ask your dad. Ask your dad who's in, who's out. Ask your dad who's in, who's out.
¿Ahorita quién está dentro ahorita? ¿Ahorita quién está dentro?
No, pues. Órale.
Estados Unidos está en el repechaje ahí, ¿no?
Yeah, ahorita está en el repechaje.
Oh, another Honduran is dying.
Man, Honduran's been dropping like flies.
Or Honduras can go to the World Cup. They'll be fine. They're going to get like...
Oh, they're going to get rocked.
They're going to get seriously demolished and leave CONCACAF in an embarrassment state.
Well, yeah,
the reality is that Panama is going to get rocked too if they go.
Yeah, I was telling John, I don't really see anyone outside of Mexico, and even Mexico just getting out of the group stage. I don't see any of the teams.
Mexico's not getting out of the group stage.
And I've been telling you guys.
Oh, shit, I thought Trinidad almost scored.
This is one of the weakest hexagonals of the past 20 years.
What do you think about what Arena said about
I kind of agree with him.
Big European teams having a tough time in CONCACAF qualifying?
Yeah, I agree with him. You know, because they're not used to like the difference in altitude and even like weather.
Right, the humidity is.
You go for altitude, you go and then you're playing. I don't know how high sea level. You know, all their flights are like an hour away. They just get on a plane an hour away.
He got a rise out of even the U.S. press for saying that stuff. I think more so for offending the European team and the European image.
And it's crazy because you see some of the even like players from England that come to MLS, and a lot of them have a hard time adjusting, and they'll say that they weren't used to playing at different. They're
all old though. They're on the downhill. That's why. Like you get a prime European player like Cristiano Ronaldo or somebody like that, they just dominate in MLS. Eduardo.
Oh, what a save! Holy shit! Excuse my language.
The U.S. U.S. almost scored. Eduardo Alcala says, "What's up with Mexico?" He's upset, it seems, on the chat.
Who's upset with Mexico?
On the YouTube chat. Mexico's losing.
They stink. We're not making it group stage with this team.
Well, I don't take any of this into consideration, any of what is Mexico's doing right now, because last cycle they were worse and they did okay in the World Cup. So the World Cup is a totally different year. They can get put things together and do real good, or they can do horribly bad.
I don't think Osorio is going to put it together.
Yeah, that's another thing. Constant there is the coach. So
the thing is, as Joel said, Mexico, by virtue of the fact that they're going to have a favorable position in the group by being in Bombo Dos, they'll probably make it out of the group stage, suffering like they always do, and then they'll play, depending on the cruces, but it could get really rough, and then that's when you have to watch out, because even today. Honduras has exposed Mexico terribly on defense, as we saw on those 2 goals. They've just been obliterated. Mexico on the counter and the speed and everything else, and that's Honduras doing that. Imagine Mexico playing. Oh my goodness, Panama! Holy smokes! Panama just scored. Panama just scored.
Holy
the U.S. as it stands right now is out.
No way. Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
Oh my god.
It's gonna. Oh, dude. US is gonna implode. MLS is gonna go out of business.
I think big soccer's imploding right now.
Big Soccer's database is crashing. Pulisic is fighting somebody.
Now my question is, for the U.S. to make it, who's going to score the goal to put the U.S. through? Mexico or the U.S.?
This is
what Mexico. A draw puts USA back in, right?
Well, San Hermoso. Is Hermoso still in?
Oh, dude. Who was that big, huge guy, Perez or whoever, that scored the Panamanian goal? I think it's a beast.
Yeah, that guy.
You
know, and the thing about Panama is that they're really good. I mean, when they think about it, they're really good defensively. And Honduras, oh my God, Honduras had a chance.
5 minutes to get in the U.S.
Mexico's fucking bad. Sorry.
Dude, Mexico's playing a cascarita right now, dude. They just don't care.
But this defense is terrible. I mean,
well, of course it is. It's the second team defense. They just don't. But you're right though. But that's been the Osorio defense. You know, we talked about it with Martin. You know, Martin.
So it's over in Panama, right? It looks like it's over, or is it?
I don't know if it's over or not.
I don't know. He's still out there shirtless.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I'm like, but it looks like he's celebrating already.
It's probably just a long celebration.
Did you guys see the guy with the flag?
Yeah.
Invaded the pitch.
I want to see some tears.
Oh, look at this, man! Even the fans are doing their part in the Mexico game to stop the.
I'm telling you, that is you watch.
This is crazy.
Record what we're recording right now. All this tiempo that Honduras is making is going to cost them a spot. You watch. They're going to have like 7 minutes of stoppage time, and Mexico's going to score a goal in like the shit! Oh, Trinidad almost scored against the U.S. to make it 3-1. That was nuts.
It's all Gonzalez's fault.
Costa Rica tied?
I don't think so. No, Trinidad almost scored.
I was reading my Twitter account.
So what's going to happen to So there's like 3 minutes left in the U.S. match. I have no idea how much time is left in the Panama match. And can we just say kudos to Telemundo for having all 3 matches on at once for us? I mean, that really is. I don't know if they're breaking any rights or whatever it is, or if they've solidified all their rights and this and that. But they have done a terrific job in keeping everybody abreast with what's going on. So let's give them major props for making that happen. 3 minutes in 3 minute stoppage in Costa Rica.
It's so funny.
Like 2 minutes left in the U.S. game.
Do you guys remember how this felt 4 years ago?
Yeah, I remember being absolutely horrifically depressed as hell.
I can't tell you how amusing this is, even if they do qualify. This is hilarious.
How many little kids are sitting in their home, tearing up with their U.S. jersey on?
So the U.S. I think the U.S. has to be down to their last play.
What are you talking about, kids, Beto? I think there's going to be grown-ass men that are weeping right now.
Yeah.
The knots in their throat right now.
I am telling you, Mexico is going to get the equalizer, and they're going to save the U.S.'s butt.
So you're saying Nate's prediction is going to come true?
Corner kick for the U.S. Corner kick for the U.S.
Nate will definitely have to rest that troll of Sanzuzi once and for all if it does pan out that way.
So if the U.S. gets the goal, then that knocks Honduras out of the World Cup. They go to repechaje, and Honduras then goes home.
Wait, so
over there. That's it. The U.S. is toast. The U.S. is out. The U.S. is out.
No.
I'm telling you that they're going to take like 30, 45 seconds to get this goal in.
I think they got to. Yep,
the ref is already asking for the ball. So it's up to Mexico or Costa
Rica.
And I'm telling you, all the tiempo that Honduras was making, I am telling you, it's gonna bite them in the ass.
The U.S. fans right now rooting for Mexico.
There's another fan.
Another fan invading the pitch to stop the game. This
Are they blowing the whistle yet?
Incredible. I've never seen anything so blatant.
That guy wasn't hard to catch.
That's a foul. Yeah, this game's over.
Estados Unidos no hizo nada, pues. Who the hell's Bessler?
He's a defensive dude. I want to see Tim Howard tours.
Just blow the whistle, ref. Blow the whistle. Blow the whistle, ref. Come on, ref. Blow the whistle.
I wonder what Jurgen Klinsmann is doing right now.
My picture just cut out to the Trinidad game. That's odd.
It's over. The U.S. is lost. So now they have to. Oh
my God. Mexico's got it. Here we go. San Uribe or somebody.
I think Panama's going to be done. Is Panama done?
No, they're still going.
No, not yet. It's still going.
This has to be probably the worst podcast we've ever done because we're talking about it. Panama
I don't know if this makes for good radio.
In the World Cup. Panama has qualified for the World Cup.
Yeah.
And I am telling you.
That was a foul.
Penalty! Penalty!
Oh my gosh.
Penalty!
That's some corruption, dude.
That's fucking bullshit.
Honduras, that's 2 times in a row they're getting hosed. That's 2 times in a row. 2 games in a row.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It was outside the area. My fault.
Okay.
My fault. Outside the area.
Correction and retraction.
So Panama is in no matter what. They are in the World Cup.
I'm happy for them.
If Mexico scores this, USA is in.
San Guardado.
I am so happy for Panama. That's their first World Cup.
Can't wait for them to lose every group stage match.
All right, so this is the last. So here you go. Here you go, USA. Who is the biggest Andres Guardado fan right now?
Yes. MLS town Guardado.
Never have so many Americans been rooting for Mexico at this very second.
Aquí viene el gol. Aquí viene el gol para matar hondureños. Aquí viene el gol para matar hondureños. Pobres catrachitos.
Grant Wild is tweeting that they're already out, man. That the U.S. is already out. Is this be delayed or something?
No, because Honduras.
No, this is live.
This is live. Honduras. That's it. It's
by second. Okay, there it is.
Se acabó.
Oh my gosh. This is hilarious.
It's over. Oh my God, the U.S. is out.
Pretty incredible. They added 6 minutes of stoppage.
Oh.
Wow, this is crazy.
Oh my God.
Soccer is going to be fun tonight.
Twitter, man.
MLS is over.
Smokes.
Oh my God, this is incredible. Oh wow.
Oh geez.
Well, the good thing for the U.S. is that they'll be a really good sparring partner for teams to help them get ready for the World Cup.
Hey, John.
Holy smokes!
Maybe we should put up the phone line to let angry U.S. fans call in.
We should. Yes,
John,
Joel.
You were fearing a friendly against the U.S. Do you still feel the same way?
I do not, Joel. In fact, I think they should schedule the U.S.
Now you're looking forward to it.
Well, again, I'm sorry, but you can't lose.
Is there some beef that went on the field right now?
Well, they pushed Guardado at the end, for no reason.
What a fan did?
No.
The reality is that Honduras is by no means favorites against Australia. By no means.
Oh, I hope they get eliminated. I absolutely hope they get eliminated. They don't deserve to go to the World Cup. Neither does the U.S. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, the U.S. You can't only win 3 games, and I mean, you know, Mexico got very lucky. I mean, let's be honest. In that last hex, Mexico was extremely lucky that they made it to the repechaje. Unbelievable. And by the way, Albert Ellis, who got the game winner, of course, is an MLS player. So I guess that means that the world's greatest player is not going to be at the World Cup then, right?
Who is it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the soccer world is going to really.
Yeah. They're really going to suffer.
How are we going to recover?
This. I'm just going to look at my first front page of the Twitter and see.
I will say though that Mexico didn't. Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Mexico didn't deserve to win the World Cup last year.
So that means that that Panama and Iceland are going to be the only new participants out of the 32 teams in the World Cup. So congratulations to Panama for getting it done, for getting the result they absolutely had to have. Congratulations to Peru for making the right. I mean, let's hope that Peru makes it because, again, the romantic in me wants to see Peru in the World Cup just because as a kid I was lucky enough to see the. I mean, we talked about in the last show we had about stuff that we like our first World Cups we remember, and I vaguely remember Argentina '78. I absolutely remember Peru from Argentina '78. If you guys have a chance, and I think we can post videos, right, Chiquis?
On where?
On like we can like on the little show here. We can show goals. Can't we do that?
Yeah, it might be a little flaky though with this plugin thing. I can do it easier through because right now I'm showing a picture of my browser on the Facebook page, but I can just go to YouTube and show whatever on Facebook Live.
Yeah, let me see if I can. We can share stuff, right? So this is. Have you all ever seen Nene Cubillas' goal against Scotland in the World Cup? Let's see if I can figure out a way to.
I got the phone lines open also.
Oh, what is the number to call, Chiquis?
724-707-3826, and then you type in the PIN 13118.
13118.
Yeah, 724-707-3826.
All right, so I think I'm sharing my screen right now. And let's see if I can get this Cubillas goal up. As soon as this ad is done, and it is. All right, so can y'all see this? I'm gonna go full screen here. Yeah, so this is Nene Cubillas against Scotland, who are just and we should talk about Scotland. And this was in Argentina, and they made it to the second round in Argentina '78 by virtue of winning this game, and they gave Holland everything they could handle in this group stage 2. And this is Cubillas now. Look where he stands and look how he shoots. Well, yeah, he did a tres dedos with the opposite foot.
I actually met him.
Just fantastic.
Cubillas. I met him. One of my ex-coworkers was his nephew.
Really? Yeah. So here's a good replay. So it looks like he's going to kick it with one foot, and then he kicks it with the other. Fantastic. So that's anyway. So that's and then in the 1970 World Cup, they made it as far as the quarterfinals. That was the first time they ever played in the World Cup. That actually knocked Argentina out. And I think we were talking about this last week as well. Brazil said that they were their toughest out in that game. Was the and how do we exit the screen share there?
Yeah, unclick that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and so it would be really, really, really cool. And I remember in the Copa America that had the Ecuatoriana situation with Mexico. They were in the group stage with Peru and Marcarian. Remember Sergio Marcarian, who coached for Cruz Azul? He ended up coaching Peru in that tournament. He took them to the semifinals, and they played really well. So it's just a really, really hopefully they'll be a really entertaining team. Provided they get past New Zealand, which I expect they will. But stranger things have happened. So there you have it. So once again, to recap, Mexico loses to Honduras 3-2 in San Pedro Sula. Honduras gets 2 second half goals to win the tie. Panama gets a late winner in Panama City at the Rommel. Is it the Rommel Fernandez? Is that the name of their place? I forget what it is exactly, but they qualified directly to the World Cup. And that second goal that Honduras scores is just comical. And then the U.S. is out.
We got to take into consideration the defense. Who was on defense for Mexico? Because this is probably not a World Cup team on defense, was it?
Yeah, it was Alanis and Araujo, and it was some other guy, Hugo Yala. Yeah, Hugo Yala.
Oh yeah, see those are.
There's no way that those guys are gonna.
Yeah, they're not gonna play.
Maybe Araujo.
The guys that start aren't much better, so.
Well, it's definitely an area for the and if you guys are watching Telemundo, you can see the highlights of the Trinidad and Tobago goals that are coming up right now. But this is a shocking. I am curious to see how all the media members who are big time Bruce Arena lovers are going to handle this. This is to me probably and how appropriate that it happens to Trinidad. But this is easily the worst loss that the U.S. has had since at least since 1990, since they started qualifying for World Cups on a regular basis. That second goal, Joel, that Trinidad scored, that was from 35 yards out.
Yeah, it's almost like ¿cómo se dice? Hicieron. Damn, I lost for words. But when the U.S. qualified to the '90 World Cup, the shot
heard around the world.
And it was a long distance shot from
Caligari.
Caligari,
and it was in Trinidad, and it knocked Trinidad out of the World Cup.
They knocked Trinidad with that goal, and a similar goal from Trinidad this time to knock out the U.S. So payback is the word I was looking for.
And I'm sorry if the U.S. is wondering, well, why couldn't Costa Rica and Mexico do their business? I mean, no offense, but you're playing a team that only had 3 points in the entirety of the Hex. This is all on you guys. This is all on you.
Yeah, and the first goal too was that own goal. It was like an autogolazo that Trinidad opened the scoring with. Very unfortunate for them. Pretty unpredictable to lose to 2 goals like that.
And that first Panama goal looks awfully iffy, Joel. Did that actually cross the line? Did you see a replay where it crossed the line?
No, I'm hearing that it wasn't, that it didn't.
But I think that it went in and then it came out. So I think it did. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter because they called it a goal and there's no. Wow. And it was the big dude that scored. They must have put him as a delantero. And he got it done. Like when Barcelona puts Piqué up as the delantero. Unbelievable.
Man, and they're out by 1 point. So the U.S. did 12, and Honduras, Panama, both have 13.
And Panama, by virtue of a goal difference, is ahead of Honduras, so they will qualify directly, and they're going to go directly to Bombo Cuatro. For sure. So let's take a look at the updated rankings. I think that's still going to keep Mexico in Bombo. Yeah, Mexico, they've fallen down to 16. But again, Wales and Chile are ahead of them. So by virtue of that, then Mexico will automatically be in the World Cup Bombo Dos, which means that Mexico will only have to play either Germany, Brazil, Portugal, Argentina, Belgium, Poland, France, or Russia, instead of having to play either Germany, Brazil, Poland, Argentina, Belgium, Poland, France, Spain, Peru, Switzerland, England, Colombia, or Italy. So big, and Uruguay. So big difference there for Mexico, because the next group down in Bombo Tres, as it stands right now, is and I think Italy, by virtue of they're also in Bombo Dos. And actually, now that I think about it, it looks like Uruguay is going to be in Bombo Dos too. So Bombo 3 is going to be Croatia, Denmark, and those haven't qualified yet. Costa Rica's in, Iceland for sure, Northern Ireland, Sweden, Tunisia if they make it, Iran. So that's going to be Bombo 3. So again, regardless of who they have, looks like Mexico is going to have what we would consider a grupo accesible, wouldn't y'all say, for the World Cup? So I don't think there's any question that Mexico should have. Just the way that Mexico was celebrating their goals too. I mean, this was an absolute cascarita for them. There's no, Chicharito said, San Pedro Sula, London. Let me go back to London.
I had zero interest watching the Mexico game, actually.
Well, I just wanted to watch it to see if Honduras could do it, because Honduras are no offense to our Catracho listeners, but they are some of the world's biggest chokers, and they did get it done. So congratulations to them. They got a little lucky, but you know what? Sometimes you need luck. Sometimes you need, as Frank says, as he says so eloquently, you need luck to be a lady tonight, and that's what Panama got. Is it going to be a good day for you at the office tomorrow, Dan?
What was that, John?
Is it going to be a good day at the office for you tomorrow?
It'll be fine. I don't think there's too many soccer fans that care one way or another, but the few of us will be.
Are you going to
be kind of chuckling?
Yeah. Are you going to wear your Trinidad and Tobago shirt?
I'll have to break it out. See if some random nerd recognizes it.
Yeah. And again, isn't it so appropriate that it's Trinidad and Tobago that does that to the U.S. after for years it was the Blazer, Jack Warner show in CONCACAF, where they both just absolutely fleeced the Confederation for millions and millions and millions of dollars. It just seems so appropriate that the U.S. run ended for the World Cup run ended for the U.S. in Port of Spain. All right, so now that Mexico's in, and we're in Bombo Dos, and we've talked about the groups, Joel, you think round of 16, yeah?
Yeah, I would like to see the group though. I'm not making predictions until I see who we have.
Unless we have all CONCACAF teams, we're going to not make it out the group.
Especially with these 8 to 9 player changes from game to game.
That's Bruce Arena is on. What do you see on? I wonder if he's on. Yeah.
What do you guys think, John? What do you think that this might do to the MLS? Do you think this might even affect it as well?
Well, one thing that they don't have to worry about is losing their players in the middle of the tournament.
No, but
I guess I'm saying from an interest standpoint.
I think the MLS fans will still be there. I mean, honestly, I think the World Cup is going to take away from their interest just because they play games during the World Cup anyway. But I don't think it's going to doom the MLS at all. I think the MLS has established a strong enough beachhead that I think it can survive the U.S. not making the World Cup. I think so.
Also, a lot of players from Panama and Honduras do play in MLS.
Right. The MLS has been a great training ground for the Central American players to. Houston Dynamo starts 3 Catarachos, and they all play really well. They play great.
Yeah, because their leagues are semi-pro at best.
Right. So it definitely helps, and. But as far as this dooming MLS, I don't think it's going to doom MLS at all, Dan. I think the MLS will be just fine. It obviously is not going to help, but it's England has not gone to the World Cup, and the Premier League has survived. So, I'm not necessarily comparing the two leagues, but I think they'll be okay.
I guess for me personally, the way you get new fans is typically, at least how I got into soccer, is through watching World Cups, a World Cup. So, and then seeing them out, I think it's going to hurt people from finding the sport. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, is it really though? Because if someone watches the.
But yeah, it's a different time. So I mean, chances are you're probably watching Champions League now.
Yeah,
no, definitely.
That is a big difference.
The U.S. already watch football from other countries, anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt up and comers who potentially could gain an interest in.
Yeah, but that's why they bring some of those players. Like they're gonna bring Vela. Vela's gonna be in the World Cup. He's gonna be playing in LA. Gio, if he goes to the World Cup,
how's that gonna help U.S. soccer fans though? That's not gonna help U.S. soccer.
That's the kids that saw the team.
That's gonna help Mexico fans.
No, it's not, because they're playing for Los Angeles.
Yeah. And then you could see the players from LA or see the other teams of the league.
That's like saying Kansas City FC is going to influence kids.
No.
It influences kids in Kansas City.
Yeah, but the U.S. national team missing the World Cup is going to make people sour and be like
the casual fan, but
yeah, that's what so
but the hardcore guys will still be there. That's
oh yeah. Of course,
MLS is a lot like NHL. I mean, they have their hardcore supporters, and then that base of hardcore supporters grows, and it has been growing. Will this truncate it? Not necessarily, but it'll definitely slow it down. But but this is only one summer, though. I mean, the whole, you have to remember the one that's really going to hurt though is, I mean, I feel bad for Christian Pulisic, because whatever endorsement deals he had lined up. What's that line in The Usual Suspects? And just gone, gone in the night.
Yeah, but the U.S. has gone to the World. The U.S. has gone to the World Cup for the last however many times, and look how it's grown. Dan pretty much answered it right now, where he said, "Oh, there's not going to, there's going to be a few nerds or whatever. There's not even that many people at a normal job site that are even into soccer."
Yeah, but they don't play the World Cup every year, guys.
I know, but now that the World Cup is not even they're not gonna be in it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of more tournaments now than there used to be 20 years ago when that was the main tournament.
I guess, and I think in a country where the sport struggles to find legitimacy, this doesn't help. Well, it makes it even more so of an afterthought of a sport, because we're not the best at it. Why are we going to cover a sport where they can't even qualify to the...
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's not going to be as damaging as you think. I think that where I saw the U.S. growing as far as watching fans in the last World Cup was, I mean, as it a lot of fans, casual fans, treat it like the Olympics. Once every 4 years, okay, I'm rooting for, and then the minute the U.S. is done, they don't pay attention to the rest of the tournament. They just don't. The casual fan just will not. And I don't necessarily think that that's ultimately who. I'm sure MLS would want to get those folks eventually, but I think that like right now they're concentrated on building a strong base of very strong local support. That is what they want to do. I think I've seen that. I've been to a few MLS stadiums and cities, and I think yes, this is absolutely going to. There's no. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to be flowers and sunshine the whole way. It is going to hurt, but I don't think the damage is going to be as. I think it would have been more devastating if this would have happened in France '98, with the MLS being 2 years old, than it being 22 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why. And again, I mean, let's be honest. Okay, so Pulisic doesn't play in the tournament next summer, and it sucks. And it sucks for the U.S. fans, and then frankly, it sucks for everybody, because the kids. He is a great player. I mean, it is unfortunate that he's not going to have that stage to play on. But you know what? They have a Gold Cup in the U.S. next summer, and you better believe that he's going to be the main attraction. And because of that, instead of the U.S. playing in MLS stadiums, they're going to start playing in NFL stadiums, because people are going to want to come watch this kid play. And that's what's going to deliver. That's what's going to start delivering. So it's going to happen. It's just going to, like, the plan has been pushed back 1 year.
Also, I mean, they're going to pay more attention to the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Try to qualify to the Olympics, and he's going to be pretty much the main guy there. And then Copa America. I mean, they should push to play that tournament.
Hey, here's a tweet that I'm seeing right now that expresses what my opinion is. It's in Jeopardy format. It says, at least now in 2018, this country does not have to pretend they actually like soccer and can keep hating it like normal.
No, I think that stopped happening a long time ago.
No,
Just because the amount of soccer you could see now, the amount of bars you could go in, soccer is, there's soccer bars now.
The sport is popular, no doubt, but I think mainstream sports fan, typical sports fan, I think I would agree with that sentiment. They can go back to ignoring it or hating it like they did before.
Yeah, but they go back to ignoring it or hating it the minute the U.S. is eliminated.
That's a good point. No, that's a good point. And then they pretty much feel like that even if they win, actually, to be honest.
But some must say that the sport here doesn't get as much promotion simply because of the, we're not riddled with commercials. There's not like,
I got to tell you, I'm watching
15-minute halftime.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, Juan.
No, I'm saying as long as soccer is the way it is, all the big companies are not going to put as much money into it as it will with baseball or basketball. If not, they would have been drowning it already. It's the most played sport for youth. But they get more for their buck when you're watching basketball and it's a commercial every 5 minutes. Same with baseball, every 5 minutes.
And
commercial, Yeah, so it's all commercials, and then with soccer they only get 15 minutes.
I would dispute that stat.
The commercial stat?
No, it's the most played sport by youth. Maybe youth 3 to 7. But once you grow into like a teenager, you're not going to play soccer. You're not going to be cool playing soccer. Most of the people, even in
to the Google Mobile.
Where's Juan? Most people, even in like the soccer-centric towns or cities, the soccer fanatic towns, if there is one in the US.
A lot of people pull their kids out of pointy ball because of injuries, harmful injuries, and then after the whole thing with the head injuries came out.
I don't see it over surpassing even baseball or basketball.
Look, the only way that soccer really establishes a foothold in this country is if either they make it to the World Cup final or they win it.
I think even
does this put another? Can we add another 10 years to the 20-year plan?
But that's actually and I know that you have a bit of a edge to that comment, Dan. I'll just say that. But I will say that I mean there is a major question. I mean, think of the U.S. soccer team right now. I mean, and not making the World Cup.
Well, where did that? Just the wasted time too. The wasted time. They did all this valuable time. They could have been trying out new guys, younger guys that are truly going to be playing in the next cycle. You wasted 2 years, or if not more. Trying to patch up a leaky ship. It's I think it's gonna hurt them more than you guys think. I personally just because it's the disappointment, the firing of Jurgen Klinsmann, him throwing that stuff out there, and Bruce Arena coming out trying to. I think everybody assumed that he was just going to save the day. I did.
Well, it's because of that. Because of the fact that they don't have that much tradition. That they don't have that go-to bombero that every other country has. Just because there's more of a talent pool available to you as far as coaching goes. But I mean, it was either going to be him or Bradley, and it would have been they even brought Bradley in to help out these last couple of games. So, but what does the I mean who because Arena obviously is not going to continue coaching. So how does the U.S. move from here? What kind of moves do they make? Do they go after an MLS guy? Like an Oscar Pareja, who has proven that he knows how to develop that talent, so to speak, and then put him in charge of the whole thing where he runs the whole. Or do they bring in Tabaré, like Kit said last week?
I would go with Pareja, John, just because you have a lot of young players, so that's who you want to build a team around.
And you also have to learn how to deal with professionals.
And some of these other guys, like Dempsey and Bradley, they should pretty much be on their way out. But I wouldn't do what they did, how they left the whole program and they put Jurgen in charge.
So I mean, I just thought it was unfortunate when they put Jurgen in charge, just because for me it should have been one or the other. Either let him do what he wanted to do with the youth system, or let him be the coach. But I thought it was really tough to do both. And now that I'm of course I'm contradicting myself when I come to say that with Pareja, but Pareja has done that. Pareja has proven that he can handle both.
Well, I mean, you could get you could get Pareja like the senior team and then the team that does Olympics. But I mean, you don't really have to put him in charge of like under 17, under 20.
So, but at least give him like let him oversee it, or
Yeah.
So I've always thought La Volpe would be perfect for that in Mexico. Let him be the U guy. Let him be the head of the U's, and they can all play the whole. Because I firmly believe, and I've said this on the show, that the 5-3-2 for me is the best formation for Mexico to play, because it's a good maquillaje for Mexico's deficiencies, in my personal opinion. But and just let La Volpe do that from the U13s on up. That way, when they get to the national team, they know it's like Nebraska. When I was a kid, and even into my early adulthood, the Nebraska football ran the same offense for just, it was very basic forever. And Pop, from Pop Warner all through high school, almost every high school in Nebraska ran the same thing. So they always talked about how great their walk-on program was. Well, yeah, of course you can have a good walk-on program if you guys get guys from Nebraska that have been playing the same in the same system their entire lives. They know exactly what they need to do. And I just lost my train of thought.
Well, I found an article from Forbes. This is from 2014, and it had soccer as the second most popular youth sport in the U.S. behind basketball. But it says ahead of baseball and well ahead of football.
Well, the thing about baseball and football is that they are expensive to man, and soccer to a certain degree. Now, at what point? And I know that I wish we had the profe on. He could give us so much more detail. But you coach Rigo.
Well, we have Rigo and he coaches.
Yeah, hey, Rigo. At what point?
We have Fred.
Federico. At what point do you? Do you coach just a recreational team, or are you like one of these pay-to-play teams, like one of these elite teams?
No, I coach recreational, but I've also coached adults.
Yeah.
And an adult league.
You coach your dad?
He coaches the youth because of the single moms.
That is true.
Single moms or divorced moms, or I guess it doesn't matter at that point.
It doesn't matter. Married ones too.
He does it for the kids.
That's interesting.
Yeah. What was the question?
No, my question is, at what point will people understand that you don't have to have a lot of money to play soccer? Because really, all you need to play soccer is a ball, right? You don't really need anything else. What other sport can you say that about?
Basketball.
Yeah, but you have to have the hoops.
Yeah, true.
Soccer, you put your shirt down on the ground, and that's your poste.
I don't know when it's going to happen here. It's definitely starting to happen. I feel like there's a lot. Like, at least when I was in Florida, now I'm in New York, but in Florida, everybody played soccer. Those fields every Saturday are always full.
Right. Well, that's because they also had the room to do. I don't think there's too much room in New York to have acres and acres of fields either.
But I feel like there's a big disconnect between the youth systems and like the national teams, even the national team youth systems.
How so?
In what they're the style of soccer that they're teaching and how they're developing players. I feel like I know Klinsmann was trying to implement one style from youth all the way up to the national team, but it just feels like there's a large disconnect. It's like growing up in New York, the style of soccer that was played versus watching kids in Florida is completely different. Where in New York it's just a lot more possession and control, and in Florida the style of soccer is more long ball. I've seen a lot of kids, like even as they're older, who have a lot of talent, that don't know how to play their positions correctly, that are running around the field after the ball. You tell them to play defensive mid, and they're up playing, attacking mid. Left backs that don't know how to track back, and I don't know like I said, I don't know if it's just regional, and if it's regional, then U.S. Soccer needs to step in.
Wait, I'll be back, gents.
Okay. What kind of leagues are you talking about, though? Are you talking about traveling teams, or?
I'm talking about. I mean, I've seen it in traveling teams. I've seen it in high school teams, in recreational teams. I mean, I've seen adults. I played in an adult league. I played. Well, I'm not there anymore. And the guys just didn't know how to play positions. Guys that had talent when they had the ball at their feet just didn't know how to play their positions.
It's funny you mentioned that, Rigo, because last year I produced the Texas high school private school soccer championships, and the best team by far was this team called British International School out of Houston. And so it was basically a bunch of expats kids from all over the world, and their understanding of where they were on the field, and not moving or understanding that you have to switch off and this and that was unbelievable. I mean, they were far and away the most technical high school team I've ever seen. And this is just a tiny little private school in Houston, but I'd never seen a team play like that. I mean, they scored 4 goals in the first 10 minutes, and the coach just said, "Okay, we're done." He literally put his hands up and said, "Just knock it around. If you score, it's going to be an accident."
I used to go watch my ex-girlfriend's cousin play at his high school games. The team had made this state championship like 4 years in a row. So I'm like, wow, they must be really good. Go watch, and it's first game of the season. They're kind of not in sync. I watched the whole season. They made it all the way up until the state championship again, and they literally won on individualistic talent that these kids all had because the coach wasn't doing anything. He was apparently he was like the school hockey coach, and they made him the soccer coach.
Right.
And
yep.
he would just take the best kids from the travel teams and put them on the high school team. And when they finally made it to the state championship, they played a team that was organized, knew how to play their position, and the team beat them. And the team that they were watching was way more talented individually, but that other team was just a lot better coached and organized and knew how to play a position, and they beat them 1-0 in overtime.
Right.
So it does. I mean, like I said, I don't know. Defense does always win championships.
That's incredible. When was that hockey coach coaching? What year?
He's still coaching now.
That is crazy. I grew up in a small podunk in high school, 1993.
I grew up a poor black child.
and we had the football coach, because there was no soccer coach. We had a football coach us. And I thought, okay, this is just because, it was 1993. We were in a small little town, and we got demolished by a lot better teams that were in bigger cities, soccer cities and stuff like that. So for me to hear you, if this is in Orlando or even near Orlando, is just shocking. Or even when Joel called from last week, the caller from last week,
Kit,
his name was. He called from LA, and he said the same thing. And I'm like, what is going on? How is it LA, Orlando, all this stuff happening?
I approached the coach. Me and my brother, we approached him because
did you approach and accost or just approach?
And because he coached his daughter's recreational team where we coach recreational soccer. So I was like, hey, if you need assistance, like, I'm not doing anything. I'd love to help out. Because I would go to the games and he would literally just sit on the bench and not, yell instructions or tell the players what to do. I was literally in like on the other sideline yelling stuff at the players. So I volunteered. I was like, I'll help you out. Yeah, I'll let you know. I have somebody that's supposed to help me, but I'll let you know. He never reached out to me or anything like that. Um, but I think it's just he's been making it far because he has these talented players, but he's not any fundamentals.
Well, he may not have the time to even. I'm not defending the guy. I'm just saying it's. I know that there's a lot of high school guys that that have to. Oh, by the
They
way,
have
be the
other
coach for
jobs
this
and
team.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
But yeah, like I was saying, I feel like U.S. soccer needs to like step in and set some guidelines for if you're going to be like a travel coach.
Yeah.
This is or high school soccer coaches. Like you guys need to. These are the basic things that you need to teach players.
Do like an age by age guide of what.
Yeah, like positioning. I think positioning is one of the like the biggest things. Knowing how to play your position, knowing where your strengths are at. I mean, I would have kids that would come and say, "Oh, I'm a striker," and then the first practice I would hold just a little scrimmage, and I'm like, "No, you're actually a defender." I'm like, "You have all the natural talent to be a defender. There's no reason for why you should be playing striker." I mean, some kids would get mad, and I'm like, "You can get mad, but you're not going to play somewhere where I think your strengths." And then it's teaching them how to play in those positions.
Can I make y'all really jealous?
Go ahead.
If y'all don't mind, just a little bit. My wife just got back from a restaurant. She brought me a whole plate of cochinita pibil.
I thought you were going vegan, John.
Oh, heavens no. Heavens no.
You gotta get ready.
That's very interesting. I have to think that the U.S. does have some guidelines like that, but I mean, I have to admit, I have to plead ignorance. But yeah, there's definitely some work to do for the U.S. and to me, the whole I was really worried for the U.S. that they had to rely on a bunch of 30 34-year-olds in key qualifying. It's
I was having this conversation with my friends in a group chat because the majority are U.S. men's national team fans, and I'm like, this is just the U.S. generation right now is a really weak generation. The ones that are coming up that have been there are on their way out, and so you can't really blame Arenas and you can't really blame Klinsmann. These guys just aren't that as good as previous generations. I mean, this whole CONCACAF Hex teams all just seemed like they were weaker. I think that's why Mexico kind of just had a cakewalk, because these teams were just talent-wise, they just weren't as good as other years. I mean, the best player for the U.S. was Pulisic, and the best player for Costa Rica was Navas.
Yeah, I mean, by far. I mean, Pulisic. I mean, he was their leading goal scorer and leading assist guy.
I mean, you can only expect an 18-year-old to do so much. He's like in his 30s. Dempsey's in his 30s. I just think this generation needed more time to develop. I mean, I'm sure they'll be able to get it together by the next World Cup. But this, I think, it's a huge hit to U.S. soccer. Because I mean, the most important soccer event in the U.S. isn't there. The casual fan isn't really going to watch it. The USA MAGA fan isn't going to really watch it. I really thought that Mexico was going to pull it out for them.
So did I. I thought that because Honduras was making so much, and honestly, 5 minutes, that should have been like 10. They got really lucky.
Like 10, yeah.
They got really lucky that they only did. If that would have been at the Azteca, that would have been something. Well, it wouldn't have been anywhere near having a chance to win. But yeah, that would have been entirely different.
I'll tell you what. But watching, I mean, like I'm just talking to my dad, who was featured in the podcast a little bit earlier. He wants Osorio out.
Bringing the heat.
he wants Osorio out. He's fed up, and like we were watching Fútbol Picante and La Última Palabra, and like everybody in the panel wants him out. And he told me right now before I came back, I left the room. He's like, I think they're going to fire him. So I think
they're going to fire him for what?
He's like, poor performance. They're just you don't see like the team play well.
That's kind of ridiculous, dude.
Dude,
what
for
do you
this
mean?
game,
For
this specific game,
not for this game. I'm talking about the whole Osorio era.
You know that this is the
Osorio
first
era
time
is two-sided. There's one extremely successful side, and then there's one really poor side.
What are you saying they're successful because they win? Or
No,
I'm saying
they're successful because they're walking casually into a World Cup. This World Cup qualification process has been nearly perfect.
It goes back to the fact that all these teams are much weaker than they were 4 years ago.
That might or may that I'm not saying that isn't the case, but if you're gonna judge him by his body of work, the World Cup qualifier, I mean, you play who you have to play.
Correct. You play who you have to play, but he struggled and he played bad versus who he had to play. There isn't one game in World Cup qualifying where you can say he played 90 minutes.
You can't finish at the top of the hex with that many points against all the rest of oppositions and make that.
You can finish that way when you have more talent than all the rest of the teams.
They had more talent last time.
Yeah, but
that's my point. I think it's easy to dismiss.
The other teams were better. Other teams were better,
but they still had more talent.
Yeah, they still had more talent.
But you're talking about a younger USA team.
It doesn't matter. They still had more talent.
It does matter. What do you mean? I mean, it was a much more even playing field than when these teams drop off drastically.
And he's 9 points better than
tell that to the US.
Yeah,
it's a weaker hex.
No, but the problem with the U.S. is that there's crying babies in the background, and
there's a lot of crying in the U.S.
and that it's their generation is weaker. So yes, they're playing.
You are correct. There is a huge gap between the 30-somethings and the fact that they only have one or two guys that are, under 23 that are decent.
Last World Cup cycle, those 30-somethings were younger. Were in their 20s.
But they're not going to fire Osorio for Mexico. This is the first time they've ever finished first in the
first.
Ever,
yes,
ever.
Yes.
So they're going to fire him for that. They're going to actually the last time it happened. You know what? There's actually a precedent here. Because they were tied for first, and then they fired Bora, and they were tied for first for that.
I mean, I don't remember any of that World Cup qualifying, so I can't speak to it at all.
It was he kind of played like he didn't expose his D because Bora would never do that, but. It was listless, but they still qualified. I mean, they still qualified like in September. So it was.
My thing is, if you're right, if you look at his body of work, there's two sides. There is a World Cup qualifying, and then there's the tournaments he's played in. And in the tournaments he's played in, because he's going to go play in a tournament, he's been exposed that his philosophy just doesn't work,
and he's going to get exposed again.
Yeah,
I mean that's just the unfortunate part of this whole thing is that, like I said, they'll probably make it through the group stage, and they'll then depending on the cruce, they're gonna draw. If maybe they'll get lucky and draw like Poland's group, but if they draw a Spain or could you imagine if Mexico playing France or Germany in the round of 16 and just how ugly that would be? I mean, it would be. I would call FIFA and say, could you just let Mexico start the game 3-0 just to make it interesting? Because they're going to lose by 4 or 5 goals. I mean, that's just the reality.
I mean, depending on the group, I don't think they even make it out the group.
I think they'll make it out of the group.
There's so many deficiencies in the way he plays. And
you're saying Mexico's not going to get out of the group stage? The way it's lining up right now? You're crazy.
Bro, on defense. There's nobody good. There's nobody there that plays with heart. Like we don't have a Rafa Marquez or Claudio Suarez.
We're not the U.S., man. We don't need grit, dude. And besides,
we do need grit because these guys don't play with Wales.
I was actually being facetious, but I don't necessarily agree with that. Before the the loss against Germany, there was like about 3 out of 4 games where Mexico came back from losing. So I don't know where that. I mean, so
against
clearly
inferior,
the team,
I guess inferior competition
against Portugal,
it's a circular argument
against Russia, and they came back against all 3 of them.
Russia's inferior competition. Portugal,
but that's my point: is that they're going to have 2 teams that are quote unquote inferior in their group.
This is my point of view on the whole coaching thing. Osorio, yeah, I agree with Rigo that Osorio is not ideal. Does poor decision making with lineups and all that, but in the games that matter, he tries to put at least the best players on the field somehow, and it's really up to the players.
But then the other problem with that is he doesn't call players that play in their position. So now he's playing with center backs at fullback, with predominantly attacking midfielders at center defensive midfielders, strikers on the wing. Like, you're playing guys out of their positions, and it's not their strong suit. It's a combination of everything that he does that leads to, the team not functioning properly.
Well, that doesn't necessarily bother me as much, but the thing that kills me, and it's something that I just don't see why any coach in their right mind would ever even play like this, is how on earth can you play and insist on a system that does nothing but leave your center backs massively exposed to a very quick and easy 2-on-1 even. I mean, a 3-on-2 or 2-on-1 in a matter of seconds. I mean, there's so much space between the last line, and they play so high, and the midfielders that every time Mexico loses the ball, especially against better teams, I mean, I don't know how Mexican fans' heart doesn't just automatically just jump up in the throat, because that it's one thing losing it down in the attacking third, but losing it in that middle third, carelessly on top of that. I mean, they are that is the part that I can't get past. That's the one thing that I both Vasco and Piojo both did, is that they made damn sure that there was no way they were going to be exposed like that.
No, yeah, I mean,
he just won't do it.
And that goes back to playing guys out of their position. Like, if you put a strong holding mid that's naturally plays there all the time, in the you're not going to leave the middle of your field exposed.
Tell me who are the best strong holding mids that Mexico has.
I mean, it would have to be Molina and Vasquez, and Gallo Vasquez. They might not be having the best moments in their career, but when they played for Mexico, they played well.
I personally would love to see Gallito get another chance, because I mean, he had a fantastic World Cup in the last. I mean, there's no question he was missed in that Holland game, because I love Salcido. I mean, I love him to death.
But he can't play that position 90 minutes.
I was hoping. I knew he was going to play as I knew he was the first man off the bench, coming in for a yellow card accumulation. I was just hoping it would be a center back or a wing back. Not Gallito. But you know what? The yellows that Gallito earned, he had to do it. He had no choice.
Yeah, he had to.
Yeah.
Because he plays a lot more physical, and like a guy like Diego Reyes, I know he plays the position, he's just not physical enough for it. And he hasn't really called anybody up. He'll put in Jonathan or Hector Herrera, or Molina. Their tendencies are to like attack, so then they leave that area exposed.
That's all you have. That's why I was hoping this Edson Alvarez kid could
step up,
maybe be that. But that he didn't. He never. He didn't play him in the entire time that he had him. He never put him in that. I didn't see the night game tonight, or at least when he came in, because frankly I was more interested in watching the other 2 games. But I mean, he should be the guy that does that. And
to be fair, I kind of like him as a starting center back.
Well, to me, you were saying about Osorio, about the not playing. The best game, in my opinion, that Osorio played was against, I think it was in Salvador. Dan, I think you actually went to that game in San Diego.
The Gold Cup? The Gold Cup one?
Gold Cup, where he instead of playing a 4-3-3, basically played a 4-2-1-3 and let Pizarro go side to side, and he basically just let him have free reign.
Yeah.
And the other 2 guys were not as offensive as he was, so to speak. So they were much more disciplined in coming back. And that way he didn't have to worry about it. And I thought that they played really, really. As far as the full 90 minutes, I thought they played really well in that one. And the other guy, frankly, who but he's just not big enough is Orbelin. But well, I don't know if Orbelin. What's happening with Orbelin? Why didn't he even get called up?
I mean, well, I mean, for one, I don't know, like, Osorio's call-ups are, like, it doesn't matter if you're playing well or not, because Alanis hasn't been playing well, and he called him up. Orbelin has had a drop-off, a massive drop-off, and I don't know if it was because, again, he was being played out of position, even in Chivas. They were having him play more of like an attacking role, and that's not really his strength. His strength is playing, from the back. And so he's had a bad season, but even still, I probably still would have called him up. I mean, Pizarro's another one who I would have called up just to let him, see what they can do. But like tonight, he played a 4-4-2, and he had Carlos Vela as a left midfielder. And like halfway through the first quarter, you see like Vela walking back from like the back.
Yeah, Vela was definitely taking his time.
Like, why are you playing a guy who's a winger and a striker, having him play left midfield where he has to keep tracking back and forth?
And a guy who doesn't have the discipline to do it.
Yeah, it's stuff like that makes him questionable. 3 center backs, only one true fullback tonight. I thought Jonathan and Herrera were playing decent. Cepillo and Cepillo has always played well with the national team. If anybody has played with grit, it's Cepillo.
He has earned his spot. I think he
needs to go to the World
There's no
Cup.
question. And Jimenez plays well for Mexico too when he gets a chance. I think he's far and away the most complete forward the Mexico
striker
has.
that we have. Yeah, I think he's better than Chicharito. I think he's.
Well, I wouldn't go that far because I think Chicharito scores more goals, and that's what your striker. But I think he's a much more complete striker than Chicharito. Chicharito and
has amazing off the ball movement.
Yeah, just God bless him. And he's not doing it at West Ham either. Can somebody just let Chicharito crash the 6-yard box for God's sakes and let him do what he does best? And that's
what he did the other day. Just
exactly
right in front of the box, headed that ball in.
I mean, that's who he is. That's what he does. I mean, yeah, just please, just let him. Why? There's nothing wrong with being a goal scorer. So let him be a goal scorer. I've never understood why people just complain. Oh, he just scores goals.
No, I think.
Oh my God.
I don't think anybody in Mexico has the off the ball movement that Chicharito has.
There's a few people in the world that have the off the ball movement that Chicharito has.
And like I said, I don't think he's a bad striker. I mean, I think he's great. I just think like when in a team, I think Jimenez is who I'd like to see play. And he plays. I feel like they both play with a lot of heart, which I like. I mean, heart is only going to get you so far, but I feel like this Mexico team kind of needs it because you have a lot of guys that just don't play with it. I.e. Vela, the Dos Santos brothers. But I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, like I said, I honestly think that this team might not make it out the group stage in the World Cup.
You know what, Rigo? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until we see the groups.
I mean, but we've had harder groups, and we've made it out.
I mean,
I just think it's the team that the team isn't playing that well.
But he made like looking at Osorio's record, he did make it out of the Centenario group. He did make it out of the Confederations group. So I mean, that's why I'm not that negative towards the team.
The Centenario group, I think the only good game they played was against Uruguay. Jamaica almost beat them.
Cheekies, check your DM.
Venezuela.
They struggled versus Venezuela.
It was
that the game? Was that the game where Tecatito scored that
yeah.
golazo?
Yeah.
They struggled versus Venezuela, and then they came the next round, and there was like everything that you saw that wasn't working in the group stage, like it imploded completely when they played Chile. In the Confed, I think they played like one really good half against Portugal. The Russia goal, or the one that Chucky scored, was like just pure individualism. Like I said, I just think once this team has a lot of deficiencies, and once they play like talented teams, you kind of that they get exposed. Where in the past, in other World Cups, those deficiencies weren't as blatant, I think.
No, I completely feel the same way, and I think just because the team has been so dominant in the hexagonal, and in my point of view, it's a weak hexagonal, then we kind of sweep aside some of these other games.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said earlier, that the hex was pretty much a cakewalk for Mexico. I'm not saying that they didn't do their part, but I think had those teams been a little bit stronger, it could have gone a little bit different. I mean, the game they were John was mentioning earlier versus El Salvador. El Salvador just kind of got gassed, but El Salvador played very well in that game as well. They were attacking and giving Mexico a match for a good 25-30 minutes, and then they kind of just ran out of gas. And then Mexico just took over.
And that team, their players, their league is pretty much semi-pro.
Yeah.
We had a Salvador fan here.
I remember
one of our early podcasts, and he was talking about how the Fed didn't even want to give them they wouldn't even provide stuff for them to drink at the training or at halftime. So these guys wanted a Gatorade.
That's crazy.
They weren't even buying that powder stuff. Yeah, no, and I think something that's gonna happen is the eventual comparison. So I expect the hexagonal or a lot of the CONCACAF teams to be stronger next cycle. And I think Mexico is going to struggle a bit. And, I think the media is going to be pretty unfair because they're going to start comparing it to this proceso,
I mean, yeah, I think as far as a World Cup qualifying, it's going to be hard for Mexico to top the World Cup, the qualifying, and you kind of have to look at it in a vacuum of this is one World Cup qualifying. The teams were weaker, just like the last one. The teams were a bit stronger. Mexico couldn't get their shit together, and then in 4 years, the U.S. will be a stronger team, and it's not going to be as easy. I mean, hopefully Mexico will also have a better generation that's coming up because there is a lot of talent that's coming up.
Hey, Chickies.
Sorry to
interrupt, Chickies. Will you send me the link to the Hangout when you invite somebody, and there like a link that you can copy?
Is Chicky still on?
Did you invite Kip?
Let me.
Yeah, when you hit invite, and there's like a link on top.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, copy that and paste it and send it to me to Twitter. We're trying to get Martin del Palacio on. He's like, I can do 10 minutes. It's almost 6 a.m.
Shit.
Yeah, so we're trying to get him on. I think he's in Russia or something like that in Ukraine. So hopefully we'll get him on here in a second.
Okay. Did Ukraine make it?
No, they are out.
I just sent it to you.
Thank you.
I don't know. I guess when it comes to the world to the qualifiers, I kind of just give them an A, and then just move on. I mean, has the team shown during moments of matches where they look weak? Yeah, sure. But I think to try to be objective, there have been positive. There hasn't been all negative, and it's not like in any game the other team isn't going to get a chance. They're going to get chances. It's rare where you see a complete domination of a side, which is kind of like what you're saying. You know, there's going to be moments where they get exposed.
Yeah, they're going to have to this is going to be like France '98. They're going to have to outscore guys. If they're going to win, they're going to have to outscore people.
And the way that things have lined up right now with the rankings and the way teams getting eliminated, it's looking kind of positive. Better than I thought. I guess they're in a much better position than I thought they'd be. I'm not expecting miracles, but I don't see why this team isn't capable of getting out of the group, especially if they're going to be in the second group. But that means they're going to, like you said earlier, John, they're going to be in theory playing two inferior teams. I feel okay with our chances.
Case in point, Mexico could be in a group with, let's just, it could be Mexico, Brazil, Croatia, Tunisia, right? Let's say. You would think that Mexico would have the ability to get out of that group. Now, the problem Mexico is going to run into is that are they going to play in a group? Is their cruce going to be where the pot 1, pot 2 teams are Poland, Colombia, or France, Spain? At what point? And then at that point, it's what's going to happen. And I think that I think we just got joined by our fellow Mexican who is living in Europe right now. I don't know what country you're in, but I'm assuming that it's very early in the morning, and we really appreciate you hopping on. Martin del Palacio joins us. Martin, how are you?
I'm fine. It's been a fun day. Long, yeah. But a lot of fun.
Are you still in the Ukraine, or are you back?
I'm still there. No. I'll stay here for a while. So yeah, I am here. I'm going from here to the Mexico Gira, and then I'm going to London in the meantime. But
right.
But yeah, mostly here.
And more importantly, your Jets are 3-2.
Would have said it last time we talked? You were making fun of me, and
I was.
0-16, and where are we now?
Yes, right. You're not only are you 3-2, but you are leading the division. When is the big showdown? When is the big showdown?
Oh, next Sunday. Like the Pats are going to thrash us.
I understand. So Martin, you saw you were watching Ukraine, Croatia won, and they've advanced to the knockouts. You saw all the craziness today. We came on just in the second half of the CONCACAF games, and it was absolutely bananas with everything that was happening. And then Panama gets to make their World Cup debut by getting a late winner against Costa Rica, and the U.S. lays an egg. And so what happens to the U.S. now for the foreseeable future?
I think it's obviously a big blow. It's difficult to know what they're going to do. Like. To be honest, I think. I was talking to Jimmy Conrad not so long ago about it, and he said he expected, like a part of him expected to the States, not expected, but wanted the US to lose because that would help the USSF to make the relevant changes. However, he couldn't say exactly which would they be, and. It's the same thing. I think I'm pretty sure they're not integrating the minorities enough in the game. Like it's unbelievable that the Hispanic players they have. It's mostly the ones that Mexico don't need. They have several European or communities from European origin that play soccer, and they don't have them in their programs. Their scouting systems are not good enough. But seriously, being absolutely honest, this is completely shocking because in terms of infrastructure and in terms of working methods, they should still be miles ahead of Honduras, Panama, and Costa Rica, and yet this happened. I think it comes down to a generational change that they couldn't properly bridge. Like most of their good players were declining or already gone, and their best player is well, they just have one really good young player, which is Pulisic, who's amazing, but he's just one, and they haven't managed to do it. They were unlucky, and well, they didn't do very well.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I know that you and Luis and some of your friends have been adamant that Mexico, regardless of now that they went over against Trinidad, they're going to be in the Bombo Dos, so we don't have to worry about Mexico sliding out. And just looking at it, they're at 16, but in reality they're in 14 because they move up 2 spots and can move up a third one if Switzerland is eliminated as well. So
exactly, yeah, it's a fact. Like there's nothing can change it, even if Italy win in the repechaje. Like nothing will change.
Yeah, and Italy has actually jumped Mexico, but it doesn't matter because Mexico.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but by virtue of 2 teams ahead of them not qualifying for the World Cup, that essentially leaves Mexico in the Bombo Dos. So now because of that, and they changed the draw format since we last spoke. So now knowing that Mexico is going to be in Bombo Dos, do you think that would then would you feel more comfortable saying that Mexico should probably make it out of the group stage at this point, or do you think it still matters of who gets drawn in the group?
No, of course it does matter. Like, I mean, it's great news in general, because if you see the great teams are actually divided between the 2 bombos. It's not like in the past that we had all the good teams in the pot number 1, and then it was like divided in confederations. Now you have, from like of the 16 top teams, you can't say that the best 8 are in the pot 1. They're actually properly divided. Like we will have, you probably have the latest figures. This has been a very long, but we probably have either Spain or France in pot 2.
No, Spain, France jumped Spain, so France is in pot 1, Spain is in pot 2, only because Russia's not. Because it's 7 plus Russia. So
well, that's great news. Like for me, Spain should be considered favorites to win the World Cup in general. So not having to face them is amazing news. And then in pot 1 you have Poland, who are good but are not great. Probably Peru, which is that will be like winning lottery. I don't know about Switzerland if they remained in pot 1, but they might have.
Both Switzerland and Peru dropped
to pot 2.
Well, yeah, I mean, if this is the latest, Peru's at 10 and Switzerland's at 11.
Okay, let me check. I probably have it as well. Or tell me who are in pot 1.
Well, what I have right now in pot 1, this is on fctables.com, by the way. I have Germany, Brazil, Portugal, Argentina, Belgium, Poland, France, and then Russia, obviously.
Okay, well, it's stronger than I thought. We managed to avoid Spain then, which is great news. We won't play England, which would have been hard as well because of their kind of game. We won't play Italy. It's all right. We won't play Uruguay as probably as well. So yeah, it's okay. It's not as good as I thought. I thought that either Peru or Switzerland would be in pot 1, but it's fine. Like we'll manage to avoid at least Spain, Italy, and England, which is good news. It's not that England are very good, but generally speaking, we do like very badly against them. And yeah, it does matter.
And for a while there, it was both France and Spain were in pot 2, which would have been an absolute killer.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I can imagine a group with Portugal or with Poland. Well, Russia would be amazing as well. Like even France, I'm not. So I mean, they have a lot of talent, but I'm not so sure they'll be at their best at the beginning of the World Cup. So it'd be fine. Obviously, if we play Germany and Brazil, that'll be a hard one. Even Argentina, now that they regained their confidence,
they got their mojo back.
Yeah. But then you get teams like Denmark, you get Iceland, which it's a great fairy tale story, but they're not so good. You might get Sweden, you might get Ireland, you get Tunisia, you get Iran, Egypt, like teams that are not on the same level as Mexico. So unless you're very unlucky, you're gonna get a good group. You're not gonna get like in the past. You could have got like if we get the same pot, like the same pot 1, you could have got let's say France from pot 1, and then a European team from pot two, which could have been Spain, Italy, or England, for example. And then you get
and then Ivory
an
Coast.
African team,
right.
yeah, Ivory or Nigeria, who could be hard as well, and then maybe another European team. So it could have been a hard one, and instead, or Colombia, imagine a group with France, Spain, Ivory Coast, France, Spain, and Colombia, or France, Spain, and Ivory Coast. It would have been like super hard.
Yeah, what this is going to do, I mean, it's going to eliminate the possibility of having multiple groups of death like that, because the last World Cup had what I would consider groups of. I mean, there were some tough groups.
Yeah,
in the last World Cup, and that would have happened again if they decided to keep doing this content, because the teams from outside Europe and South America have just gotten better.
Yeah, and I think it's only fair, to be honest. Like it's you gotta get one of the best teams in the world, then a good team, and then two teams that would try to spring a surprise. Like dividing them into regional pots, for me, never made sense, and now they corrected their mistake. Then you think you'd have thought that the rankings were screwed up in some way, but in the end they wouldn't. Obviously, Spain should have been in pot one, but yeah, I mean the teams that are actually there are pretty good. Even Poland, you could have thought that, well, they're not so good. They have a good team. They're fast. They have
they were really good strikers
in the Bundesliga. They have Lewandowski, Vlasikovsky, like.
Do they still have the guy Eusebius Smolarek? Does he still play for Poland, or did he finally retire?
No, he retired like so.
What a great name! What a great name!
Yeah,
because his dad if I remember, his dad scored a goal against Mexico in the 78.
78. Yeah. And then the song wasn't as good. Yeah.
Well, just so you know, I'm going off that same website, and in pot three, the pot three teams right now that have qualified or possibly qualify are Croatia, Denmark, and then Costa Rica's in for sure, Iceland, Northern Ireland, Sweden, and Ireland. So it's gonna be out of that. I think if USA, even if they would have qualified, they may have gotten bumped down to pot four. So
I'm not so sure from what
I guess it depends on how many teams would lose ahead of them. But it doesn't matter now.
What's the website?
This is fctables.com. This is the website that your buddy Luis Herrera.
I opened it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So and then and the pot four teams are. I mean, Mexico's not going to get Panama in their group.
No.
By any stretch. So there's still some pretty dangerous teams in that. I don't think anybody wants to play Iran at all.
No, and I don't want to play Nigeria. That's the hard one. I mean, if you see Nigeria's squad, they're good, man. I mean, they're not very good in defense, but their strikers are all in the Premier League.
They're stronger. They can do what Mario? What's the guy's name? The Italian, when he scored the goal against Balotelli against who was that? Was it Massa?
Man!
Turned Massa into a piece of silly putty when he scored that goal. So that's you're absolutely right. Nigerian, they've always had really talented, very strong players. I mean, at every level, Mexico has fits with Nigeria. So that would definitely be a team to avoid. Yeah, and I think Nigeria is in top four.
We always struggle with fast, strong, athletic teams, and Nigeria is like Trinidad and steroids. It's never easy. I'm opening look. They have in attack. They have Alexi Iwobi from Arsenal, Iheanacho, who was in Manchester City but now is in Leicester, Victor Moses from Chelsea, Musa, Leicester, and they have Obi Mikel Steele, who's playing in China, but he's only 30.
Right.
Who else do they have? They have a player from Wolfsburg as well. And in defense, they're not so good. But still, older players are in Europe now. So it's a tough team. And Ivory Coast is going to be tough too. They might get out and Morocco qualify, and Morocco will be tough.
Yeah, and Egypt's going to be tough. Iran's going to be tough. Tunisia, I mean, there are outside of maybe Japan or Korea, and even Japan to Mexico is gonna be a challenge.
I'm praying for Saudi Arabia, to be honest, and that's the one I want.
Or Australia. Oh, that's the next question. So Australia, Honduras, who goes?
I watched both matches today, and they're both really bad. I don't know. It's going to be a hard one because Australia, like Syria, played with their hearts, but seriously, like Australia was so bad. Like they won in the most British way possible with two headers by Tim Cahill,
who's in his mid 50s. Yeah,
yeah, and yeah, they weren't very good. And well, on Honduras, like today, like the last 30 minutes were an embarrassment. Mexico didn't do anything like else because they were like not really interested in like getting into that. Like the condition of the pitch was terrible. The Hondurans were like dropping like flies. The last two goals shouldn't have counted because they were this like the first one was a foul and the second one was offside. Yeah, like Honduras are not good at all. I was actually happy with the Panama goal, not just because the US were out, because as the rivalry goes, that's good news for us, but also because Honduras weren't going to go directly to the World Cup because that would have been
right.
like a scandal. Like they're so bad, and well, Australia are not much better, so it's going to be an even one.
So it's gonna be decided by who sucks less.
I think so. Yeah. That Australia Syria match, regardless of the like passion and the whole emotional thing, it wasn't a very good game of football.
I woke up just in time to watch Syria hit the post in in extra, and if they score that, they were through that because even though it was extra time, the aggregate rule, the aggregate goals I think still counted. If I'm not mistaken, I think it would have gone to penalties. I thought that's what. At least that's what I was
They did.
So yeah, it was. They just. Martin, I know, but before I let you go, does anybody have any other questions for Martin?
Yes, I have a question for Martin. I heard you earlier doing.
Martin is asking you a question.
I heard you doing commentary and play-by-play.
Yeah.
Is that something you're looking to get into?
No, it was a joke. I mean, I would like to. Like I'd like to do like more like an analysis kind of thing, and no, this was just like we're here in Ukraine without much to do, and we thought it'd be fun like in the stadium yesterday. Like we were just watching the game because we needed to do interviews after match. So during the match, we decided to do this Periscope. And we didn't really know the Ukrainian player, so we started to just throw nonsense, and it was very funny. So we decided to do it again, but no.
Yeah, it sounded good though.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, if someone wants to hire me and pay me for that.
Did Picolín make an appearance?
No, I should have. Like, I didn't think of it. Damn it! For the next one, for sure. Like a candidate for Mexican coach to replace Osorio.
Oh, last question. This in regards to Players Union in Mexico.
What did you say? That there was like a kid's voice behind you, and so I didn't understand.
Go ahead. It was a question about the Players Union in Mexico.
The players I want to Mexico?
The Players Union that was announced.
Players Union in Mexico. I think it's good news. I'm still a bit disappointed because it's not a real union. It's an association, so it has to be like. Let's say it's not controlled by the federation, but it has to be registered on the federation. So that will again curtail its reach. It's a good move, especially because like the big players are now behind it. It's not just like random Ascenso players, but it's actually Chicharito and Ochoa and Rafa was the whole instigator. Yeah, El Chaco Jimenez. I thought you were going to say El Chapo, referring to Rafa. No. Yeah, and Chaco. Yeah. I mean, it's big players who are there, so that's actually good news. Let's see what happens because I mean, I've treated big players as well, and I know that they get enthusiastic with stuff and then they forget.
Let me ask you this: would it have had an impact if they announced this Players Association and you see guys like Macue Robles and Hobbit Bermudez and would it have had the same kind of impact?
No,
or because of the fact that it's these guys that it has a little bit more clout?
For sure. And before it was even worse because it was retired players. Like I remember Chema Huerta, who was the leader of the like Players Union for like 15 years and nobody cared or gave it them. So now it's good stuff, but now they have to get themselves to work, and that's what I want to see.
Anybody else have any question before we let Martin get some sleep? Hey, Martin, thank you so much for hopping on. I know it's very early in the morning, but I know you were up because I know you were watching, and you probably got some deadlines and stuff. So we really do appreciate you coming on. Good luck this weekend with your Jets.
Yeah, well, if we don't get trashed, then it will be a good weekend. Like it's already a great week after today, so I don't care too much.
And one last question: at what point do we need to worry about the Foco Rojos with Pumas? Because
now.
It's bad.
I'm already really worried.
Yeah.
We are Nico and 10, and Nico's always injured. So yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Like let's cross our fingers that somehow one of the youngsters from the academy end up being good, because otherwise,
it's going to be ugly, very ugly. Martin, thank you so much for hopping on, and we'll talk to you down the road. As always, bring a lot of insight, and we do appreciate it. So thanks very much.
For sure. Thank you.
Peace out.
That was Martin del Palacio joining us from the Ukraine. He was, I knew he was up because he was tweeting, so I just wanted to get his take on stuff, because he seems to be one of the more connected folks, and he definitely has a global perspective as well.
Yeah, for those that don't know who Martin is, he a Mexican journalist that works for FIFA.
He works for FIFA.com for Medio Tiempo, and he's also in charge of the Spanish feed for West Ham United's Twitter account. That is another Martin project, and he's also a freelance writer for a whole bunch of other publications. So a good guy to have on, a good friend of the show for sure, and we do appreciate that. What a crazy day! What an absolutely crazy day! I am just I'm flummoxed. I can't believe what happened. I'm not gonna lie. I cannot believe what happened.
I got another hot tweet for you, which I'd like to get behind the numbers and analyze it, or investigate what the numbers are. But this one guy says U.S. men got $9 million for losing the round of 16 in the 2014 World Cup.
That sounds all right.
U.S. women got $2 million for winning the 2015.
Let's just stop with comparing the purses. And I know that in the U.S. it's and I think it should be more equitable for sure, but the U.S. purse money is based on what FIFA gets, because FIFA has an allocation, and the World Cup is watched. The cumulative audience of the World Cup is in the tens of billions over the entire tournament.
So you're saying
I don't think we can say the same about the Women's World Cup.
Okay, so you're saying it's fair.
Well, I think in this country, I think if U.S. Soccer wanted to bump that up a little bit, I think they should, because of the fact that women's soccer is popular, and the reason it is popular is because those girls are a good team, and they play really well, and if they draw if they match the men in ratings, then I think that they should in this country, they should absolutely get a bump. But as far as the purse size is concerned, based on what again, you cannot compare them. Now, if U.S. Soccer wants to kick in a little something extra, they probably should, absolutely. But based on the allocations that FIFA gives them, there's just no comparison.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. I just didn't know the numbers behind it all.
Yeah, I mean, think of how many people watch the World Cup final, which is going to, just in China alone, it's probably 500,000 people. And across the world, I think that you get a worldwide audience. They say it's 1 billion, but I guarantee you it's in the 2 or 3, for sure. And then there's 64 games. I mean, even the Tunisia versus Saudi Arabia game is going to have an audience of at least 100 to 200 million people worldwide. I mean, what other sporting event can you say that about?
Nothing.
Exactly. But a lot of folks are definitely. I wish that Ray from Milwaukee would call in, but I guess we're gonna be unlucky tonight. Ray from Milwaukee must be having a rough time.
Nate was tweeting in all caps. Bruce Arena says there's nothing wrong with what we're doing. Craziness.
So he's gone Kevin Bacon in Animal House.
He's that dog in the burning room. Everything is fine.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like Chepo during last World Cup qualifying.
Oh, dang.
or Ojitos
Ouch.
Mesa,
No, I think
or
this
Ojitos
surpasses
Mesa.
anything Chepo did.
No, but I
This
mean,
surpasses.
as far as when you don't hold yourself accountable for what is happening.
There was definitely a lot of that and I think that was what made his downfall so severe, was that he just wasn't, like you say, he wasn't owning up to it.
Yeah. Same thing with Ojitos Mesa. Like, he would just go out there and be like, we played well, and be like, no, you didn't.
And I remember that game. It was in Honduras when they had was it Suazo, Joel? Was that La Pantera Suazo, David Suazo? And he had a
Yeah,
brother. Did he have a brother too? Like the other
none.
Suazo, like the lesser Suazo. I can't remember what his
I
name was.
I just remember David.
And they just ran over. I mean, it wasn't even funny. I mean, they destroyed Mexico. I mean, they just crushed. It was 3-0. Mexico scored a late goal on a free kick, but I mean, it wasn't even close. I mean, it was like, eesh. And that was Mesa's last game. It was bad. And I thought Honduras, as a man, these guys, these guys have a real potential. And then they ended up falling apart.
Yeah, he was crying in the presser.
And that was when Quirarte beat Vasco in the final, and everyone thought that Quirarte was going to get the gig, but they went with Vasco instead. Because it was Pachuca versus Santos, and Santos won the championship, and Quirarte was a Santos coach, and they were both both on the same World Cup team. They're both on the '86 team. So
I'm dropping out, guys. I got to wake up early tomorrow.
Hey, Rigo, thank you so much for joining us, and thank your dad for joining us too.
I'll let him know to tune in.
Yeah, we should. He has great potential to be one of our random guys, I think.
I'll definitely have him join on.
It'll be good.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Later, man.
Thanks a lot, Rigoberto Ayala leaves the show. A lot of insight from Rigo up there in the New York area. And again, here is what's I'm going to put it on ESPN. Let's see. ESPN has preseason basketball, and we're going over to Sports Center. They're showing basketball highlights, and then locally they have Stars Live post game. Let's go to ESPN News, and ESPN News has a rerun of Around the Horn.
That's what I'm talking about, man. This is not a soccer country. This is expected.
Because commercials, it's commercials, dude.
No, man. It's
commercials is what rules. No, yeah, but I mean, you want to sell your product, so they're not going to make that much money off a soccer game.
Well, I think that my point is that people, obviously the hardcore soccer fans, this is a very bitter pill for them to swallow. There's no, the 82 and 90 sucked, but I was younger. But I can't, and we all came very close to feeling like that 4 years ago.
I think we all felt it. At least I certainly did.
We did feel like that for what, like 5 minutes. It was like, man.
The horror was fleeting, but it was real. And I think that's why I'm laughing, because I very much remember how awful it felt. That reality sinking in of, man, I can't believe this is actually happening. It's pretty surreal, and to be honest, I think it's actually pretty surreal even now. I mean, I'm kind of laughing about it, but it's absolutely surreal. I never thought I'd see the U.S. not qualifying. I always just figured that they have enough talent to get by, and we're always going to be at least organized enough to not get scored on like they did today. But that organized defense and that's no longer there. I think we assume it's there because they'd be sitting back or something, but that's not the reality now.
To me, the U.S. has been, for years, they've characterized themselves as being just a really tough, resourceful team. Like as Beto always would say, that grit. And I get, they know how to eke out results, and they've done that for years. For 20 years, they've gotten, but they've also gotten really lucky for a lot of that. And tonight, luck was not on their side. They had the autogol that was just one of those slow motion autogols that was just awful. And then the Honduras goal, that was if Honduras doesn't score that goal, I don't think that they have they have the fire in the belly to go get the third one for sure.
And the Phantom Panama goal.
And the Phantom Panama
goal. The Phantom Menace, man.
So it just it was not it just wasn't in the cards for the U.S. Fate said otherwise. Their number came up tonight, and
in 3 games you had all these like weird stuff happen in 3 games, where these things went bad. So like Martin was saying, that one goal Honduras scored that shouldn't have been.
Well, 2 goals because one was a terrible foul and one was offside, and the other one was offside.
So 2 goals that shouldn't have been called, and then Panama gets that one phantom goal.
I think that was a goal.
I think the Puma Picante guys just reviewed it and they straight calling it phantom. I need to see it. I haven't seen it.
Well, the ref said it was a goal, so it's a goal.
It's a goal. And the autogolazo from
right.
That it was a Mexican dude. What's his name?
It was Omar Gonzalez.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, and then the U.S. hits the post and late in the game, and I honestly believe that last free kick that Guardado had there at the end, I thought for sure it was going in. And Honduras was damned lucky that they only had 5 minutes stoppage time, because seriously, that should have been at least 10 with as much as they were dying on the field.
With the pitch invasions.
Exactly. Yeah. That adds another 2 or 3. They got really, really lucky.
They got away with it. I can't believe that. I'm honestly really rooting against them in the playoff.
Yeah, and it just.
I thought this was this was a pretty disgusting display. I'm like, come on, man. I understand that you're gonna try to milk it, and it was just so blatant.
That's why I was hoping that Mexico would score at the end, because I remember it was the Women's World Cup, and Brazil was doing that to the U.S. where every time they'd go down and act like they were dying, and so what happens at the end of the game, they get like 6 minutes of stoppage time. Well, you can't give a team like the U.S. more time. Why on earth are you doing that to yourselves? That's the last thing you want to do. Is there are other ways to delay a game that the ref isn't going to count, but rolling around in an injury is not one of them. Because the fourth official will time that. He will time that, and that's how he makes his decision. But the fourth official was very kind. And did you also notice that in the Panama game, the stoppage time was only 3 minutes, which is almost unheard of in the second. Usually in the second half, it's always a minimum of 4. And in the U.S. game, it was also 5. So yeah, it was. And Trinidad did the way they were wasting time the right way. If you're going to waste time. Waste time on free kicks and waste time on goal kicks, and and go down to the corner, and that's waste time on the field. Don't pretend like you're dying, because it's just and Panama got really, or Honduras got really lucky tonight that it didn't bite them in the butt. I would have laughed, but frankly, I'm not gonna lie, I am.
You're still laughing?
I'm
you know what? Honestly, I would have preferred U.S. going into the World Cup.
Well,
just because I think they would have put in a better fight than the other 2, better than Panama and Honduras.
Who cares about CONCACAF representation, though, man? I don't.
What I do? What do you mean you don't?
I don't care if CONCACAF competitors do well, and we're like, hey, man, we're part of CONCACAF and we're doing good in the World Cup. Yay for us.
Oh, well, it's looking very. Go ahead, Juan.
Well, it's important to me because if the more interest there is and the better teams perform, it's ultimately the region can improve and get better.
Right.
So so for years we were just very unorganized and we didn't have tournaments, and now it's a lot of the stuff that we see now. It's very recent. That just how consistent it's maintained, and just Gold Cup, CONCACAF, Champions Cup, and even our format for qualifying. So all of this has slowly improved the region. We're not where we still have a long way to go. But I mean, why wouldn't you want the region to be stronger? It would ultimately make our team better.
Well, I mean, I've always maintained that that's why I like the Conca Champions, was because the Conca Champions was going to make the region stronger. Because a country like Panama, let's face it, if it wasn't for the Conca Champions, they wouldn't be where they are today.
And even Gold Cups to get.
But specifically the Conca Champions, Joel, because teams like Árabe Unido, when they knock Pachuca out and stuff, they're realizing, hey, you know what? We can't play with these guys.
Yeah, those small victories start adding up.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want the region to not do well. I'm just indifferent, and I don't think they are going to do well.
But you would be different if the U.S. was in anyway, Chiquis.
What? Yeah, I mean, if they were in,
so what difference does it make to you?
It doesn't. It doesn't make any difference. I'm just saying that I don't pride myself in seeing the U.S. put up a good fight or Honduras put up a good fight. Or
I'll be honest. I thought it was really cool in the last World Cup that 3 CONCACAF teams made it to the round of 16.
Yeah. And then to see the results Costa Rica was getting.
For me personally, I think it's like a credibility thing where I think, generally speaking, the view, the opinion of the region is pretty piss poor.
Yeah, it is.
When you make, I actually heard this absurd argument today saying that none of these CONCACAF teams would ever qualify out of Europe. I'm like, I think it's absurd. I'm like how some of these teams now. Obviously, some teams are kind of grouped into somewhat difficult groups. But I mean,
what about the Venezuela coach just yesterday saying if we weren't CONCACAF, we would qualify in first every time?
Yeah. And that's sort of my attitude. Is maybe I've got an egotistical type of thing where I think I would rather see Mexico go to CONMEBOL, even if they don't make a World Cup every now and then. I'd rather see them go against that team because I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the time to go to CONMEBOL because they're about to have 8 teams, and 8 teams go to the World Cup.
I think CONCACAF is just and Dan said it earlier about the 10-year plan for the U.S. And look at us now. It's going to be a 100-year plan, and then for Honduras, Panama, and all of them, make it 200-year for them if it's 100-year for the U.S. There's no hope for CONCACAF. Pretty much is what I'm saying.
Oh, snap! I mean, but you can't be that negative. I mean, no one expected Costa Rica to do what they did,
They had an easy path, sort of, man.
What?
I mean, not full easy.
I don't know, man.
They had chips fall into place. They
played Greece. That might be, but they still did it, They still had to play some tough teams. I say another thing also.
And the group they got out of, too. That
the group was legit.
That whole World Cup run was phenomenal for them.
Yeah, but I want to go, just that view that the region has, it affects our players. So then when we have a player like Chucky and he's a top talent and he still has to prove himself by going to PSV,
Right.
I agree with you. I think victories like this, good performances, more consistent performances from the region, will inevitably make the league, the region look stronger. And I think, it does have a somewhat of a trickle down effect on what teams will be willing to shell out.
Ron said something to me, or said something last week that really piqued my interest. Talking about the the Super Duper League in North America, where you have teams in Mexico, teams in the U.S., and teams in Canada. I could totally be behind. I think that would absolutely level the playing field, big time.
I think really long-term plan. I think it's even for Mexico. It's probably be the if they want to keep their league to be amongst the most competitive in the world. I think joining forces in the very long term probably is the way to go. But I don't think Mexico is in any rush to share too much. But money talks. I think if they throw enough money at the competition, then all bets are off.
Right. I mean, let's face it.
That's why I think it's not that far-fetched to think that CONMEBOL might be involved somehow. I mean,
they've already established a league of champions that's going to be North and South America. I'm not sure exactly when it's going to, when and if it's going to happen, but somebody has already got the wheels.
Because I know logistically it's a nightmare for most teams. Any team that from South America going up north it's going to be hellish at best. That being said, though, I think if the money's good enough, all that stuff is like, sorry guys, I mean, you guys are just going to have to deal with it, deal with the long travel time.
Yeah, crazy.
And the way I see it is, at least it's going to be fair, as bad as that sounds. I mean, but it is going to be fair because both teams will have to make those really long treks.
So would y'all indulge with just a little bit for the U.S. fans that are listening to us to just oof.
we should post that link on Twitter. Bring solace to the U.S. fans.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize the drums came in a little bit later.
Oh man,
it's so rare that you get to play both. It's such a momentous occasion that I think that it deserves both. So, wow, I'm still at a loss. I'm not gonna lie. It's
So, John, do you think the U.S. Because I think Martin did bring up a good point earlier, saying like, it's funny that this like, all right, now all the changes that need to be made this will force the hand, but what changes are they? Like, what actually are they going to do differently?
Rigo talked about that, and I think a lot of that has to do with, just honestly, the MLS drafts from college where they're drafting players that play, have been playing 3 months a year for, 4 years at least, and how much in high school, and most countries, Mexico included. I mean, if you're a 13-year-old with talent and a club picks you up, I mean, you're eating, you eat, breathe, and drink soccer for your 24/7. I mean, yeah, you're going to school, but you have probably morning practice, school, lunch, afternoon practice, and then you're watching film at night, and including that's just to me it's all about culture. The culture has to change. I mean, if for this country to really consider themselves a quote unquote soccer nation, they have that there's soccer is treated as an Olympic sport here. It's not. It might be played a lot by the youth, but there's no real investment in it. I mean, there are some MLS clubs that do have their academies and have started to graduate players, and that's great. But there's just there's others that are just light years away, and that's what it's going to have to take.
What do you think of this tweet, though, John? That Nate said. He said the pay-to-play club system is a classist, racist enterprise preventing millions from having access to quality organized soccer.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I would go. I mean, that's why I wish Profe was on, because I mean, Profe's talked about that himself. I mean, the pay-to-play benefits the ones that you're paying. It doesn't benefit necessarily your kid if you're paying all that money. So, I mean, in that sense, I guess I would kind of agree. But I mean, I've heard of teams, teams out of Houston, out of Chicago, where it's not necessarily pay to play, but they are club teams, but they're made up more of the economically disadvantaged kids, and they just rip through those. They just destroy those other teams. So they have to find a happy balance. I mean, soccer is a working man's sport. Again, I was talking to Rigo. What other sport in this country can you just go onto, on any surface, whether it's concrete, grass, whatever, dirt, whatever, put down 2 shirts and take a ball and say, okay, that's, draw out that shirt's out of bounds. Here's our goal. You can play it anywhere. And you just don't see kids playing it other than organized activities.
That's too third world to play, man, in the U.S.
Well, whatever. I mean, but that's, I mean, Uruguay has a population of 4 or 5 million people.
Because they do just that, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's what I've been saying for a while. That
I mean, you posted movies of kids and during Christmas time in Querétaro playing.
Yeah, on cement in a park, bouncing it off of like old ladies sitting trying to have a drink or something.
I mean, there are places. I mean, when I go do Dynamo games in Houston, and when I'm leaving the stadium, there's a little field right past that. It's actually kind of cool. It's like a little bar, and it has so they play pickup games and stuff. But I mean, that is just not the norm. There are a few places that have that. I mean, I'm not going to compare anything to Brazil, because Brazil is, I mean, they still are, in my opinion, the standard bearers when it comes to soccer, regardless of what happened in the last World Cup. And they eat, breathe, and drink. They live it. They're playing on. They have fields that have teams playing on them 24 hours a day. They're constantly playing soccer in Brazil.
And I think that's happening to an extent here in the Hispanic communities, where parents love soccer and they teach that to their kids, and they're doing the same thing to sort of a certain extent. I think when they get in the upper classes, middle class, or whatever, they tend to just rely on I need the grass field to play. But that's what I think Nate is referring to, is sort of getting lost. The kid that plays with the ball at his feet since he was small, and not just on the green field, on the green grass.
See, that's the other thing, and we talk about this all the time about the kids. The kids that they choose to if you had Andres Iniesta and some dude who's 6'2", right, and the U.S. soccer coach is going to go with a guy with 6'2".
Yeah, you had guys had the caller a few weeks back talking about how they emphasize more on the physical aspect.
That's still happening today.
And it is a physical game, and there's no but the technical part of the game is so much more important than the physical part.
No, I'm gonna tie it up to the whole culture, at least the sports culture in the U.S. So yeah, they've always placed like big importance on, how tall you're gonna grow, how fast you could run, or you could sprint, where I think they will overlook some of the other kids that are more like they're not gonna reach.
More technically sound, maybe not like thoroughbreds, but technically sound, and maybe even tactically sound, which I think is another area that's overlooked.
Well, this is the thing where I see it, like with the other sports, it benefits them because like you kind of know, like basketball, so you kind of know who some of the kids, you kind of get an idea how tall they're gonna be, and then you just know how fast. So then you just hope that some of those guys are gonna be talented. And I think that works for some of their other sports.
It's
kind
of funny, though.
It just doesn't work out because
But to be honest with you, Joel, there's a lot of athletes a lot of fantastic athletes that make terrible players, even in football and basketball. I mean, if you don't have skill, you don't have skill. I mean, troncos are troncos. I mean, you could be a tronco and still kind of run fast. I know it's kind of oxymoronic, but
I am the tronco of this show. I mean, I just, you guys carry me dead weight.
But,
or if you're a tronco like Kikín, I mean, at least have so much heart that you more than make up for it. I mean, I love that guy.
Or know where to be. I mean, you could argue that Rafa Marquez is probably one of the worst athletes, but his skill and his brains.
Packs a day. Socrates. I'm serious.
No, it's true. But I'm saying here, like in a lot of schools, in a lot of clubs, especially with for schools, and they'll do the Hell Week. That's how they'll pick players. So for like 2-3 days, they're just running you to the ground. They're just making you do all these exercises, and they weed out players just by the ones that can't keep up.
Right.
And I think that's where they miss out on soccer, and we see it in soccer with the youth sports, with the teams, especially like the African teams, how very dominant they are at the youth level. Because they're already more physically stronger and faster. But then once they get to the senior level, when the rest of the world catches up, then they're not as good.
Well, the U.S. doesn't have. It's not all doom and gloom. They do seem their U17 squad seems to have qualified out of the group stage already after their second game. So, I guess maybe there's some hope for the future.
This could be the up generation for them.
Who knows? I mean, they beat the hosts, and then I believe they beat Ghana.
Yeah, and they've done well at the U20.
Yeah,
tournaments as well. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. But
well, that's again, I'm gonna go what I'm talking about. That could work at the youth level. The whole importance on speed and strength, height. So yeah, I think they've done decent for a long time at the youth levels. It's just that they lose a lot of players, by the time they're at the senior level, they just don't pan out. They don't end up being as good as they thought they were.
Well, but again, it's always, and then to me, this is the biggest difference between the U.S. and Mexico, and to a lesser degree Costa Rica and the rest of the world, is that we have, Mexico have a good player, a great player, say, and they'll pin all their hopes on that guy, whoever it is, and then that guy, may or may not pan out when he's 18. I mean, Giovanni's a perfect example. I mean, when he was 18, 19, with the way that he qualified for South, I mean, I don't think there's anybody on this podcast that didn't think that, man, we finally have a player that could really make a difference. And he was out, and then he unfortunately he peaked very, very young.
Well, him and Eddie,
and that's okay.
Him and Eddie, I thought Eddie was our answer
right.
too.
Yeah, I mean, and that's okay. That happens. The biggest difference is that Argentina has 10 guys that do that, and then 3 of them end up panning. I'm serious. And then 3 of them end up panning out. And the other 7 go to LigaMX and dominate.
But you bring up a good point, because even to a much lesser degree, I think Mexico has options, especially in the attacking third. They're not going to be dependent on Tecatito 100%, or Chucky, or Vela, or Gio, or anybody else. At least that is one positive thing, that there's a number of players that could step up and do something pretty extraordinary. Where I think that ultimately is really what hurt the U.S. is that they have one player and he's an absolute kid.
Yeah, and exactly. I mean, and he could have already peaked. Everyone thinks he's going to get better. He may not get better, and that's, again, I'm not knocking him at all.
Yeah, because if he remains at this level, he's still going to be a very good player.
Right. I mean, and we've seen it, but I mean, things can happen. I mean, he could have a nagging injury for a year that limits his progress, and he doesn't. It takes him a year or two to. I mean, but again, he's one guy. Brazil has 40 guys like that. I mean, and that's just Germany has. I was watching Germany play. I don't know who the hell, I think it was like Azerbaijan. I didn't know one guy on that German team, and they smoked him. I mean, I had no idea who I was watching. It was like the German E team, and they were just destroying this team. I mean, they are unbelievably deep. Brazil, Spain is starting to become like that, where they're unbelievably deep. Italy for years is. I know that they've had a couple of rough World Cups, but I mean, who wants to play Italy? I mean, they could either crash out spectacularly or win the whole thing.
Give me Belgium, Poland every time above Italy.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Especially in a knockout in a knockout stage. I'd much rather go against Poland or Belgium. I don't care what their rankings are.
Oh, you mean go up against? Sure.
Yeah, no. Yeah, as far as like who I fear more, it's always going to be Italy. Especially in the knockout round. I mean, in a World Cup.
Yeah, where you know that the only way you're going to win is you have to score a spectacular goal, because they're not going to give anything up. Like you have to manufacture a goal against them.
That's why I think some of these rankings are pretty misleading. I mean, Wales is supposed to be a top 10 team, and they're out.
Well, don't forget Wales made the semifinals of the Euro, so that's why they're a top 10 team. But I mean, and on top of that, they did not have Gareth Bale for these last 2 rounds, and they ended up dropping points, and they cost them. So yeah, I mean Wales. Oof. Wow.
But let's be real. I mean, if it wasn't for that Euro, would anybody be thinking that team deserved to be? Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what their rankings were.
I think it goes to show you just how important it is to have how important it is to have a really, really, really. I mean, would Portugal be ranked, where they be the 3rd best team in the world right now if it wasn't for Ronaldo? I mean, they would be, like you're saying, like the Croatias and the Polands and the Belgiums. Yeah, they're good teams, but they're not. They're not a team that are just scary good. I mean, they're the worst Italy team is still damn good.
I'd rather, I mean, even still, even with Ronaldo, I think I still would rather face Portugal than Italy. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's because it's just they have the history, the pedigree that they've done it even when, and they've done really extremely well in World Cups even when they have played horribly in the group stage. So I mean,
but that's what teams like Italy has that luxury of and in the last couple times it's actually bitten them in the ass and they haven't been able to shake it. But you're right. Their group stage is their preseason.
And I think that's probably. I think honestly, I think that's the case for all these teams. I think even Brazil, you could say. I mean, how many times it seems like Mexico is like you almost welcome Brazil in your group because you know that you're probably at worst going to get a tie out of it if it's in the group stage.
Right.
And that's just not a team that seems to put that much importance in winning every single game in a group stage. It's basically qualify, and it doesn't really matter who will meet it then. We'll turn it on then, and we'll be fresh, and we'll be ready to rock and roll.
That is going to be the only good thing about the 48-team World Cup is when the knockouts start, because it's going to be like the NCAA tournament where there's going to be some major freaking surprises in the first round, and it's a one and done. So when it gets to the 32-team knockout, that's when it's going to get really fun. But I mean, Italy uses Germany, when they played the U.S. in the last one, they scored they went 1-0, and it's okay. We got our goal. It's raining. We're just going to make sure they don't score, and that's what they did. Remember when Italy played Mexico in Japan, where Borghetti scored that great goal.
Yeah, the 1-1.
Right, and then they saw that Ecuador was beating Croatia. So once they got the tie, they knew that okay, we're done. They both teams just kind of okay, this is good for both of us. And then Italy they lost to Korea, and then ultimately in the round of 16. But their tournament that's where their tournament starts, is in the round of 16. I mean, even in the 94 when they played again Mexico and to that 1-1 draw, and it ended up I can't remember. I think did Italy go as one of the best thirds, and they make the final. So as long as they make it's like Cruzas, it's like America and Chivas and Tigres and whoever, and the regular season, just make the liguilla, and then your tournament can start.
John,
who cares if you're in 6 or 7? Yes, sir.
Have you mentioned the teams that are in Bombo Uno
for Europe?
No, for the World Cup.
For the World Cup, yeah. We'll go through them again. It's going to be Germany, Brazil, Portugal, Argentina, Belgium, Poland, France, Russia. That's Bombo 1.
So we're hoping we're in Russia's group, huh?
Honestly, I think that any one of those would be. I mean, obviously, it'd be nice to be in Russia's group, but I think any one of those would be fun. I mean,
I think the only team that I would really want to avoid would probably be Germany. But at the same time, someone I think posted this earlier on Twitter that if you face them in the group, then you can't face them in the round of 16.
That's right.
I'm picturing that meme with the guy pointing to his head.
Yes, I think we might have seen the same tweet.
No, I was picturing it when you said it.
Yeah, but see, and I think that's actually a pretty good point. If you look at, I mean, but if that's the case, then I guess I'd rather have a. Well, is Argentina? And did you mention Argentina in that group? Okay.
Yeah. So Poland and Russia seem for us would be good group to be in.
But even still, even if the worst case scenario, I think you have to like Mexico's chances against the other teams that they potentially going to be going up against. I mean, you could argue that they did what they had to do to have their ranking good enough.
I don't want to be in Germany's group just because if we played them, I could just see losing again.
We'll see now that in the last World Cups, Mexico has been eliminated by Bulgaria, but they're not in. But it's been Germany, Argentina, the United States, and Holland. So United States, Holland, and Argentina. Well, Argentina didn't make it. Damn it! I was about to make a. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, never mind. The Cero guys are out, so there's that.
Okay, so obviously the best cruce for Mexico would be like Belgium, Poland, the Belgium, Poland, Russia group. If they can get a cruce with one of those, then the quinto partido becomes a real possibility. But if you get a cruce with France, Spain,
and you could aspire to win the group, which could mean the difference too.
Right. But if you get a cruce with France, Spain, Germany, Brazil, olvídense. I mean, yeah, they would have to win the group to avoid those guys. Not. Well, yeah, Spain too, because
when does the draw come out? December or something?
December. Yeah, but they'll be using the rankings that are coming out next week. So
everybody's going to have at least a decent idea of what the groups could look like.
Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, what this does is it eliminates, because in the last World Cup it eliminates groups of death. It eliminates having multiple groups of death. Because in the last one, the U.S. it was a U.S., Ghana, Portugal, Germany. That was awful. But then the Costa Rica, Italy, England, Uruguay. I mean, that was just brutal. And then there was another one that was just crazy tough too. And even Mexico's group wasn't necessarily particularly easy. But I mean, there was at least another one that I can't remember. I'm gonna look it up right now. So yeah, so there will be probably just one group of death. All right, let's take a look here. Well, boys, we should probably wrap it up since we've been on for
almost 3 hours.
Yeah. So oh yeah, Spain, Holland, Chile, Australia. I mean, good God. I mean, that was insane. I mean, that group was so hard, Spain couldn't get out. And they were the two-time defending champs and two-time defending European champions, and they couldn't get out of that group. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, this has been a very, very entertaining show for sure. And thanks to Martin del Palacio for coming on, and thanks to Rigoberto coming on. Thank you to you, Joel, for coming on.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, John.
Always a pleasure. Dan Preciado, and enjoy your day at work tomorrow.
Absolutely. Pleasure as always. Sorry, U.S. fans.
Chiquis, Beto Campa, thanks again for setting everything up and sending the link to.
Yeah, shout out to MJP, Wolf and Sheep's Clothing, Eduardo Alcala, David P, and some dudes in Reddit.
Oh, good. I always forget to check the chat. I need to be better at that. It's I had like 4 screens in front of me today, so.
Yeah. And it's up on Facebook also. So once we're done here, I'll end the feed to Facebook Live, and 2 hours 42 minutes of audio there as well. Good stuff.
All right. Well, good. And
of awesome sports radio.
Yeah. This was a drop-free show, but I thought the content was enough that we had to we didn't have to goof it up. Although I was trying so hard when Martin didn't say that he put Picolín in, and I was trying so hard to do the. No sirve para nada. But
we heard her. We thought, although I think he I don't think he recognized the voice, or may have not have seen it. And
so I had the wrong thing turned up because I went a different order this time. I was like, damn it. It was a good chance to put it in, but it didn't work out. But anyway, but we do thank y'all for joining us. We'll be on next week. We'll jump right back into LigaMX again. So we do thank y'all for joining us. And once again, congratulations to Panama for making your first World Cup. Congratulations to Iceland for making your first World Cup. And for U.S. fans, and our deepest condolences. But you'll be around for 2022, the Winter World Cup. So my name is John Jagu. Thank you guys for listening to us, and we will talk to you guys again next week.